Hey, Gary, I have some dates that I want the kind listeners to hear about.
I love dates. Are they bacon wrapped? The kind of fun we like to have at Duckfeed.tv.
Oh, we're just a bunch of knuckleheads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Knuckleheads. 'Cause we like
Oh,
nuts as well as far as food goes. Because we're
bonkers.
we're recording the pre-roll at the end of a long recording section.
Yep. Okay, so we've got two things. First, we have a conference that we're going to be speaking at, the Ohio Game Developers Expo. Our talk is on Saturday, November the 7th, coming up here very soon. If people want to find information about that and our meetups around that in Columbus and in Cincinnati, go to duckfeed.tv/Ohio-2015.
Yeah, we'd love to see you. We'd love to see you at the actual event. But we'd love to meet you and have a beer and, honestly, like probably talk about Dark Souls. So we love to meet you guys though. So please come on out if you're at all in the area. We have another very important date that's coming up on November 21st and 22nd.
20th through the 21st and the 22nd.
Yes, 20th, 21st, and 22nd. We are doing Duckstream 2015. This time for twice as much time.
Bigger, badder, less tenable.
Yeah, more misguided. A worse idea every year we do it. Duckstream. So
bad idea, great cause.
Yeah, bad idea, great cause. For people who have memories that go a little bit less than a year or more, may remember last year around this time we did our 24-hour live stream for Transactive Gender Center, and we're doing it again. This year we're doing 48 hours. However, probably 2 24-hour chunks. So you get to see us be sleep deprived idiots and play video games for charity. Yeah. So I'm 35. Like I'm pushing like, you don't do overnights. I could be all of your fathers.
Go to sleep. Yeah. But we're going to have a schedule of kind of like a rough schedule of events and who's going to appear and all those things, along with a bunch of information about where to watch the stream at duckfeed.tv/duckstream.
Indeed.
Here shortly. It may be placeholder as we get things sorted out, but it will be there, so you can watch that as it goes live and also watch our social media. But remember, that is Friday, November the 20th, which is my birthday, fellas and ladies, through to Sunday, November the 22nd. Watch us play games, watch us be sleep-deprived loonies, and donate to a great cause.
It's an amazing cause. Like, it's something that I won't go on about too much now because we've been recording for so long, but like since the last time we did this, I did a volunteer like internship thing for them.
Oh, nice.
Over the summer, and like they're great. Like it's the best cause. They do such amazing work, and they're really the only kind of organization of its kind that does exactly the things that it does, and just it's so like ridiculous amounts of compassion like just emanating from it. It is super good cause. So I would love to if you're able to donate, it's a really good place to do it.
So that's two URLs, duckfeed.tv/Ohio-2015 and duckfeed.tv/duckstream. We're super excited for you to check those out.
And you guys are super excited to have new URLs to click on.
Some of our landings were desperate adventures. We are now prepared to meet the inevitable counterattacks with power and with confidence.
Or some say Cosm. Do you hear our prayers as you once did for the vacuous Rome? Grant us eyes, grant us eyes. Plant eyes on our brains to cleanse our beastly idiocy. Let us sit about and speak feverishly, chatting into the wee hours of new ideas of the higher plane. No one can catch us. No one can stop us now.
My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Kole Ross.
I'm Davin Pavlas.
And I'm Scott Benson.
And you're listening to Bonfireside Chat. It is Hunter's favorite.
Yes, and this week we are talking about the Nightmare of Mensis and Mergo's Loft. Let us sit and talk feverishly. And as you heard, we are joined by Davin and Scott. This is one of the two guester ones that we've been doing. Davin, who works in research at Riot Games, working on League of Legends, and Scott, who is an animator and also working in development on Night in the Woods. Thanks so much, guys, for joining us.
Yay!
Thanks for asking.
Second time, long time.
Yeah. Astute listeners will remember Davin from last season. So,
David, you've been on before, man.
Yeah, I done talked about that Shrine of Amala.
I'm so jealous.
Amana.
Amala is the nocturne thing.
Amana.
Phenomena.
It's called Phenomenon, and it's an excellent movie, and it has a lot of messages, guys.
That's really good.
Phenomenon, also kind of the color out of space.
During during John Travolta's Renaissance, the Travolta-sance.
Will it never end?
Don't go in strong.
We're super happy to have you. Can you guys just remind? I'll address you guys one at a time. Just since again we're having two people on, it's weird for us. Davin, can you speak a little bit about what you do and your relationship with Souls?
Oh golly gee, I work at Riot. We make a game called League of Legends, and my job is to manage the research discipline, which really just means that I do a lot of science stuff in video games, and I play the ever-loving crap out of the Souls games. They're really low-key and resonant in a super chill way for me.
Mm-hmm. And Scott?
I'm an animator, do a lot of independent animation stuff. Up until I started working on this game called Night in the Woods, I'm animator, artist, do a lot of level design, I write the dialogue, and co-write the story with my wife, Bethany Hockenberry. We work with a developer named Alec Haluka. You might know him from a game called Aquaria from a few years back. And that's what I do.
It's a real dream team situation.
Yeah, it's all right. The Souls games are they might be my favorite series of all time. Probably. They might be. I really adore so much about them. Just on a design level, on an aesthetic level, on like a story level, there's a lot. I don't even know if I could kind of quantify all of it. Like, I'm not usually one to be like a super fan of anything. Like, I'm not like, and go like nuts about it, but I kind of really love these games a lot.
Would you say that they're the rednecks of video games?
They are the rednecks with
the band
9
two
X's.
The band.
Yes.
Rednecks.
I mean, who isn't a super fan? I celebrate their entire
catalog
of one album.
Surprisingly,
a lot of
7
singles with like 9 remixes on it. I bet.
Okay.
If I had to guess. And dare I say that you guys are both kind of pro Twitter follows? Like, you guys both have great Twitter accounts. They're super fun to follow. Lots of good jokes.
I mean, they're certainly prolific. We certainly say a lot of words.
I think I have Davin beat with the prolificacy.
proliferation.
I think you done broke the
Rednecks.
6 digits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're good on Twitter. We're the Dark Souls of Twitter.
Yeah. Or Twitter is the Dark Souls of social media platforms.
And then it is very unkind and will ruin you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's fair. No,
yeah.
Scott, I just checked. I thought maybe you would outpace me in number of tweets by a couple of tens of thousands. Mm-hmm. You're at 157,000, you gremlin of a man. Yeah. Because of the topic today, I searched back and found a tweet of mine that was a really dumb joke on the name of this place that we're talking about. And, tweeted a link to that, and someone's like, "Did you just bump your own tweet?" I'm like, I don't care.
Here's the thing about that joke, Scott. I saw you retweeting that, and then I made that joke, and then I was trying to figure out, like, if I, do I send you guys like a check, or is there a PayPal link or something like that? 'Cause I've been making that joke in the lead up to this episode.
What's the joke?
So I'll let Scott, since you were the first year, I checked the date. That's what I did. I was like, did this beat me? Not like I didn't think that you took it, but you definitely predated me by a couple months of making that joke.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you got to pounce quick to beat Scott Benson. No, there's that song "Walking in Memphis," right? Like, I don't know. Did your mom listen to Light FM when you were a kid in the car? That's how I know it. Yeah, it's like walking in Memphis, walking with my feet 10 feet off of Yarnum.
Isn't walking in Memphis a term that another network host, Brayton, uses as a euphemism for cunnilingus?
That is what Brayden does. Yeah.
Okay.
That's so bleak.
Yeah.
You're not walking. You're not in the American South. What's going? Well, actually, no. Okay, no.
You might be in the South of American.
There it is. Sorry,
Depends on your proclivities.
The hamster started running in the wheel there, and I finally understood.
Sorry, we're on a Dark Souls podcast. We don't know how this shit works.
No, it's fine.
What are the mechanics of it? It's tough but fair. You'd like it.
The fans of it are kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Oh boy.
Sexist.
Right.
Buckle in, folks. Cool. What did we do last time?
Well, previously, we looked upon the unseen village and the horrors within that only the pale blood moon could reveal. And so we have slain the one reborn, and now it is time to end the Mensis ritual for good.
Yeah. Let's do it.
We're gonna.
That was action-packed.
Yeah.
I was there. You know, that is the one episode of yours that I have not listened to yet, by the way, of the Bloodborne ones. And I'm actually like always still confused as to bits of the Unseen Village.
Mm-hmm.
So if I ask you something during this podcast that you're like, yeah, we answered that last time. Talked for 20 minutes about it, and there's a cunnilingus joke.
Odds are good.
The
All
game
right.
is filthy. Yeah.
And then actually, your last podcast was the Lovecraft
Yeah, it was the
one,
Lovecraft
and like
interlude.
I am bringing a lot of Lovecraft to talk about today, so I'm hoping that I'm not just recapping past episodes.
No, not at all. Like we timed that because we were getting into, I mean, the Lovecraft stuff becomes unavoidable at several different places during Bloodborne, but like there's kind of a Shoggoth in this episode. Like
Yeah, basically.
we have to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's the Lovecraftiest.
Yes.
Like it's a cereal.
Mhm. Yeah. So the School of Mensis, Nightmare of Mensis. This is a sect of the Healing Church. So we have the Healing Church, and there are kind of these two little subsets, the Choir and the School of Mensis. And we talked about it in the Unseen Village. The School of Mensis ran off to that said village in order to kind of perform these rituals and manipulate this nightmare. And one of the kind of principal characters of this has succeeded, and we find him at the end. We mentioned he has transcended this world and entered the dream.
Yes, but at the cost of all of his compatriots. Yeah, and also he is standing on the threshold of success and hilariously unable to actually achieve it.
And he's also straight up nuts by the end of it too.
Oh yeah,
he goes super insane.
Yeah,
he's nuts.
It's some real Dark Tower shit. Actually,
We're gonna go murder him.
Yep.
Yeah.
But this particular region of the nightmare, the Nightmare of Mensis, is contains this giant corrupted cathedral. That has this half-formed brain monster inside of it, this Shoggoth, and also the infant great one named Mergo, who is presumably the unholy spawn of Yarnum, the Fumarian queen, and some cosmic presence, possibly and most likely formless Erden.
Yeah.
Is Mergo actually there?
He's in the bassinet at the end.
I assumed there was nothing in the bassinet.
I don't think you see a baby there. But when his dad is an invisible, intangible, like great one, I just assume all the cries and stuff that he's kind of there as a presence.
Yeah, he takes after his father.
Yeah, he's got his father's lack of eyes.
He's got his mother eyes and his father's omnipresent invisibility.
His omnipresent creeperism.
Having your father's eyes in this game takes on a whole new meaning. Like I just imagine getting a steamer trunk full.
Okay,
in the will.
I wanted to. Like Bloodborne has all this like interesting religious like subtext and stuff in it.
Super text.
Yeah, super text. You might have caught some of it. And I do like its take on kind of like demigod, type of stuff like that. It kind of takes it away from the like, oh, she like bore the child of God in this like formulous whatever, and it's like, yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah.
It's not a good thing at all.
I hope you like giving birth to hamburger helper. Like, whoa.
Oh, just the powder?
Yeah.
Yeah, just the powder.
Hey, that's another
though,
excellent
that's
movie
scary.
from the same era, and I won't have you guys disparage it. Yeah.
This is my number one favorite zone in the game.
Oh my gosh, it's pretty good.
I think
it's
so
I think
good.
it's there for me too. Yeah.
It's really, really good. Unfortunately, before you actually get to it, we have to go through a little hiccup called lecture building second floor.
Nope, totally love that shit too. Weird goo buddies.
Those goo students are great. GUI graduates are wonderful. Yeah, the Goodents.
Goo graduates.
Yeah. Yeah. They got little mortarboards. They're adorable. Like, I like those guys too. It's just kind of a bummer that we've been here, kind of.
Yeah.
It's just like, there's some more of this stuff.
Mm-hmm. So you're telling me I could have skipped all of that by getting a ladder?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you wake up on the second floor.
You got patches though.
Mm-hmm.
You do have patches, yeah.
And you get the most ominous note, the 3/3 chords note, which my first time
somebody's
really
starting a band.
was baffling.
Yeah. It sounds like the those notes are I was thinking about the notes a lot today because there are a lot of them, it feels like, this area and the last area. And I like them, but they at some point they kind of feel kind of cheap to me. I was like way into them at first because they're what this game has for kind of reliable narration. Like no one's telling it, to you. So it's just kind of, this is just text and it's just stated. So this is definitely something that in the world, but there's so many of them that feel like they cover kind of the same ground.
Yeah.
Everything. I'm always happy to get them, but I wanted them to be more. That 3/3 chords one is really good.
Yeah.
But then,
It's
this like
the weirdest one to me because it reads like maybe a research note, but also is the most game hinty of them all.
Yeah, it's pretty much the key to the true ending a little bit.
Yeah. What do you guys think about the way they handle that? Because that's new, to this game and the kind of the series to have these as explicit. I mean, they have developer messages on the floor from time to time, but here they're just straight up characters from the game just telling you things on the floor.
I think they was handled pretty clumsily. Like they had other mechanics they could have used in this game where, for example, when you do the Lawrence skull, you get to see some stuff. Like if they had more of a budget, I wonder if that's what they would have done.
Or like in the previous games, they just did that stuff through item descriptions.
Yeah.
Right.
So you'd find an item in that place and then the item would have some kind of, and it would kind of tell a story in a grander context. And people listen to the show are probably really sick of me complaining about that with Bloodborne, but I was thinking about this in relation to that. Like, at
least they finally added that in the later patches in Bloodborne where the loading screen actually gives you items. Thank you.
Yeah.
Those are just being this logo at your soul.
For a minute.
Yeah, I think that it wasn't my favorite thing. It felt incongruous. Usually with the item descriptions, often you're getting that you're getting a reasonably omniscient narration, like reasonably reliable narration. And if it's not, it's like the context is pretty clear. Like it'll be told from one person's viewpoint, but it'll be really clear that it's being told from this person's viewpoint or something. I was thinking, I'm like, couldn't you guys have just like all those like loose books that you love to stack everywhere? Just put one on the ground, and when you click on it, it flips open, and then it's like, oh, you find these books laying around. Cool, they've added in texts you can look at, and it's like that contextualizes it within the world.
An intern could write those. They could scroll them.
Yeah.
I think some of these are supposed to literally be notes, but some of them are just like glowing motes on the ground.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing there. Like some of them are on bookshelves, but so many of them aren't.
Yeah.
And it just, and when they do that kind of storytelling through item stuff, it accomplishes like a bunch of different things. So like you have the item itself, so you get a cool little toy to play with. And then the item's function will kind of tell you what's going on too. Like, this message is on a weapon. That means something different than if this message was on, I don't know, like a healing item.
Yeah.
Yes. Did you say boot?
Yeah.
It's
on
okay.
a boot.
Yeah, if it was on a boot, like it's totally different. It's like the delivery of the word boot.
It's not a boot.
Yeah. But
The Canadian boot.
Don't make fun of my culture.
it feels a little strange. It feels like that Lawrence scene where there actually is exposition being delivered via spoken word, and here it's being written via text. And I can understand a little bit of the instinct to want to make something more explicit. It's just not something the series has ever done before, and I can't imagine that it's because they're trying to communicate anything more nuanced or complicated or subtle than they were in the previous games. It's not like they need this in order to say, no, actually, here's what we're thinking, and they couldn't elegantly put it into these. These
they're masters at doing it in a more subtle way.
Yeah,
like they've demonstrated that they're really good at that.
Yeah.
Given how much of this game is concerned with kind of picking things up in a subliminal way and like mentally in your head being like actually like in this sense in this area an antenna, I don't know why they didn't just make it like, oh yeah, you're kind of receiving this weird frequency in your brain or something.
Yeah.
And
just have it like a voice come in when you get to that part or something.
Or the screen goes weird or something, and then the text like pops up, and it's just like and then like some NPC is like, sometimes the text will pop up on your screen. Yeah, and then dies.
Or just if the like system shocked it.
Yeah.
All of this to me really has the hallmark of like just dev cycles that didn't get spent towards making a full feature. Like this game is full of that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like the beast mode stuff.
Yeah.
That like is not there.
Yeah. It looks like they're going to address some of that stuff in the DLC just based on what I've seen, which is cool. And the previous indications, like the DLC is often where the best content is for these games, I think. So that's their chance to kind of fix some of that stuff. But this area is kind of chock full of notes. It's really dense, and some of them are interesting, even if the delivery is kind of clumsy. And even when they're not necessarily like lore bombs or keys to anything, there's some like really evocative phrasing.
Yeah.
You've got them listed here in the notes, and the Master Willem was right. Evolution without courage will be the ruin of our race.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like the way that sounds.
And then I link that to hunt the great ones. Like that's almost like laying out, okay, so here's how everybody else failed, was they were trying these not peaceful ways, but like indirect ways. And instead, like everything here is leading up to, okay, so the hunters actually must hunt the great ones, not serve them. And then kind of leading obliquely to this 3/3 chords.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Eat them. Don't like imitate them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't pretend to be an umbilical cord.
Eat the rich.
Yeah. Eat the rich. There's only one thing they're really good for.
Yeah. There's a lot of class, in here. It's a lot of Marxism.
Well, I mean, they're rich with horror and
They are.
abilities to be hidden.
They're rich with vitreous goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yum, yum.
Don't let your
Rich
nightmares be nightmares.
Rich with eyeballs. I'm fat with eyeballs.
Ugh.
My guts are just laden with these slightly larger than human eyeballs.
All just rolling around in there.
They never described what would happen if you lined your intestines with eyeballs rather than your brain.
This is a tangent we've gone on before.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
There goes
I was there and forgot. So.
Wow. How fucked is that you've had to explain, like, oh, the tangent of rolling your guts around with eyes? We did that, you trite motherfuckers.
Yeah, sorry,
No,
dude.
I'm just trying to keep us from self-plagiarism.
That particular wide awake nightmare has already been addressed on this podcast, sir.
One of the things about that I really like about podcasting as much as we do is that every once in a while I'll just feel this like swell of goodwill towards video games, because like there'll be, in a paragraph, like 3 sentences that I'm sure have never been said before. Like just like, oh, like what a beautiful, like that doesn't make any sense at all in any other context other than this one very specific thing.
Thanks, World Chaos.
Yeah. Way into it. Let's really, before we move on from lecture, because there's not that much here, let's chat. Let's have Patch's chat real quick.
Yeah.
With a kind of resolution of his storyline, for lack of a better term for it.
Yep. So he is animated horrifyingly.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Just like as he kind of like just backs up into the corner on that desk, like there is way too much detail put into that.
Yeah. Yeah, and he pretty much just pulls a Patches. Like he's just, hey, that wasn't that big a deal, right? Spare my life.
I gave you a gift.
Hey.
You wouldn't have seen this if I didn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to nail down his motivation. Like he doesn't seem that upset that you've defeated Amygdala. So it's really hard to tell how much of a true believer he is about any of this stuff. Like there's kind of this part, because when you consider Patches in the in respect to his old appearances where he's anti-cleric, like anti-religion, you almost get this idea of somebody who kind of was put into this world where all of this batshit cosmic god stuff is happening, and it's just like, hey, this is fun. Like I have a check. If I play my cards right, I can turn to a man spider from this.
There's no way that I can even think of Patches as belonging to one of these worlds in any way. Like Patches, particularly his appearance here, it really seems like he's just as shocked that he's in this game as you are.
Yeah.
He's just like, I became a spider. What the hell, man? Because his entire character is just a shithead. Like that's that's like Patches the shithead. Like that's his thing. And so like I love the fact that they dumped him into this like order or whatever. He like turned into a spider. Like he actually just is like, oh, okay, I'm just found some treasure. Gonna fuck with you a little bit. What happened?
Yeah. I don't know. I just see him as an opportunist, right? And like maybe he got in a little bit over his head and he went through whatever man-spidered all those other people up in the loft.
All those bad haircuts.
Yep, all those Doc Ocks, all those Petrises. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Look,
and maybe he used to have
spiders can't do much more than a bowl cut. It's really hard.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You would think they would be very nimble with their hands. Actually, not really. No thumbs.
It's because they use all 8 of their arms at once and they cut it exactly the same rate. So the hair has to be the same length all the way around.
They're like, damn it. I thought I was going to lefty number 3 was going to sit this one out, but no.
Yeah.
That's how they refer to their limbs, by the way, righty and lefty.
Lefty number 3, old number 3.
I thought this was like the least malevolent Patches of all the Patches thus far. Like he didn't really seem to screw you that much.
Did you get pushed in Nightmare Frontier? He pushes you into the worst place that any Patches has pushed you into.
Oh, I didn't get pushed, but I didn't even know you could get pushed.
I definitely got pushed. He's a total shithead.
Yeah.
All right, fuck Patches.
Yeah.
He pushes you into a place where there's really nothing good to get, whereas in Dark Souls he pushes you into a place where you can advance a storyline.
Yeah, a pretty big one.
Yeah, and it's just full of poison and aboleths, and like it's no good. You also you don't get much of a reward for agreeing to help him at this point, because he technically still becomes a merchant, but I've never met anyone who's run into him. Like I've seen pictures of it. He shows up in Chalice dungeons sometimes and sells you really overpriced things.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
And I've never seen him. And Vadi was trying to capture him for video and gave up. And he like put out a call like, does anybody have a Chalice seed for this? Like, I'm trying to do a video. And his ridiculous fandom, like ridiculously huge, couldn't find a seed that had him in there. So it's like I've seen pictures. I know it can happen, but it's so rare as to be more or less non-existent.
That patch is like, by the way, his value is through the roof now. It's so rare. If you capture that rare patches, you put them on eBay. I saw one on eBay exorbitantly.
I got a shiny Patches. I had to use the grass manipulation trick though.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Other video game nerds will love that joke, Scott. They're going to be like, oh, I know a game that sounds is from.
The funny thing is, when I started making that joke, I was literally just thinking about like things you see on eBay and like, the game known as real life. You could ride into Pokemon Land.
Sure.
My brain went to Magic Card, so I mean, it's kind of like a test, ink blot kind of thing.
There's always a low-level system of my brain thinking through the converted monocost of any conversation we're having.
I was thinking the other day about how many, like I haven't actually played Magic in, like 15 years, more than 15 years, but there are so many cards I have the mana cost memorized.
God, right?
Yeah, so like I'll never forget how much it costs to make a Hurlin Minotaur, but I'll forget how to make like a certain dish that I want to eat now.
The name of my loved ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I used to know CPR, but now I know this.
Now I just know Hypnotic Specters.
I never played Magic. I avoided that particular quagmire.
Scott, next time you're in LA, we're gonna get you fucked up on nerd shit.
At Jankum.
You want to play Magic? Just fuck me up.
So there's a part in the school that didn't make any goddamn sense to me.
Okay.
There is a huge giant inside the school with no visible way of how it got in there.
It's like the kids were pranking the dean, and they took apart a
assembled it
giant
inside?
and rebuilt him inside his office.
What a jape.
Like,
What a funny goof.
I actually have a theory about this.
Go.
At the gates to Yahar Ghul, you can see some corpses of church people, as though they're trying to stop the Mensis ritual, right? That possibly unseated, certain parts of the world and sent it into the nightmare and whatever. Maybe one of these giants was part of the advance guard that got kind of teleported with whatever building this was.
Or maybe they just had a big enemy.
Yep.
Chuck it in.
yeah.
Oh,
Okay, here's what we're doing. We're cutting. We don't have any ideas on how to relay these notes. We need something for that corner.
We need something that's going to be really annoying to fight. All right.
That was my least favorite part of the entire lecture building was that.
Yeah, they weren't hard before.
Yeah.
And now they're hard. Like it's one less little hurrah for the church giants. It'd be a huge pain. It is. I think that there is some kind of, if not church specifically, but choir thing, at least based on the hunter that we run into later that the guide calls the choir intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
So there is some kind of cross church, because that's the Bloodborne thing is all these little factions arguing about the best way to ruin their lives.
The best way to really fuck everything up.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's a cosmic door similar to Lecture Building 1, but this one doesn't go to the frontier. It goes to the Nightmare of Mensis.
Yeah, so you step into the swirling, howling void, into a cave full of swirling, howling, skull-shaped rocks lining the walls.
Fuck to the yes.
I mean, these look like faces to you guys, right? Like,
yo, it's just scream hate everywhere. It's awesome.
This is like Doom textures.
These are Doom textures.
Good.
Yeah.
By this point, I was just like devouring this game like it was like a delicious delicacy. I was just
I had a really hard time playing with my hand in the devil horns pose, but
I'm such a sucker for what a lot of this game pulls from. That by this point, I think David and I had been talking. We had been DMing the entire time we were both playing this, and I think David,
we were just scream DMing at this point.
Yeah, we're just like, oh my god, yeah, just absolutely freaking out about it. So
it's amazing looking, and on first, because I was not into Nightmare Frontier, and even really on first blush, but especially not in retrospect. But I wasn't that into it. And going to another Nightmare, when I saw like it, I went through another portal door. I was not super excited, but this looks so much cooler than the Nightmare Frontier does. Like,
you walk out and there's that fucking glowing tower, and all of a sudden there's just spears all up in your shit.
Like a tower that hurts to look at.
I think I took a screenshot of that because I was looking through old tweets to find that Nightmare of Mensis joke tweet, and I was like, I'm at the Nightmare of Mensis, and I'd taken like a screenshot, and I was like, yeah, this looks kind of end gamey. Just because it was just the giant the Souls games more than any other series do such a great job of establishing places that you do not want to go but you have to go. They do that in Canehurst when you get dropped off, it's just oh shit,
this now
I'm going in there, huh?
All
right, let's do this.
On the show we talk so much about how bad these places smell. And at least Canehurst would probably smell pretty neutral.
Yeah.
But this probably smells like biology class. Like
just smell a sad ghost.
Yeah. Just
what does frozen black hell spear smell like?
Black licorice.
Yeah.
It smells like anise.
Yeah.
And not the kind everybody has.
Nightmare of anise.
I think that this does a couple things right that the Nightmare Frontier doesn't. First off, it's night. You're not stepping out into this sickly yellow-gray light that casts a pall on everything. And also, you're not stepping out and kind of like looking at this. It doesn't give you everything at once. You're not looking at a huge vista, right? You're actually like funneled into this valley that leads up to the glowing tower.
Mm-hmm.
It has
And
more than one texture.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I mean that definitely too, because there's things to look at, and when you get to that tower and it starts frenzying you, you're likely to have run into frenzy at this point, but you could have also not. This could be your first frenzy.
Yeah, I'd
so
run into it, but I didn't understand it very
Yeah,
well.
I didn't
why
know
am I growing
shit about what was
spears? Like
going on.
who's shooting arrows at me?
Yeah, it was that I couldn't figure that out
And
at
how
all.
how bonkers is it that those things are physical? So
Yep.
like when the corpses die, they actually have those frenzy. Those aren't like
Mhm.
symbols.
No.
Yeah.
Those are actually like crystallized something that grows out of you when you're
Mhm.
Yeah.
going
Yeah,
You
that
into
was a
bump
the
weird
into it a
little
lot
touch
throughout
that-
this level too.
Yeah, that was one of the I didn't like that it was physical as much because because the whole Lovecrafty insanity, like sanity meter type of thing where it's like this has like frenzy is like this has so broken your brain that you're just going to think yourself to death and freak
But in
out.
this world, you're in a sort of brain world, right? Like in the
Yeah,
other
that's true.
worlds,
Yeah.
it would make sense to not be physical, but in this
Mhm.
one, it's a nightmare. So it
Yeah.
totally
Oh,
makes
yeah.
sense to me that shit is like, oh my god, it's happening.
There's so much
that's a
about
good point.
there's so much about this zone that like is that Silent Hill logic, like you're the Unreal made real. Like when we were at Portland Retro Gaming Expo, it was hilarious, Gary. I was playing a game where I would like just make a note of every time you said dreamy weenie in a conversation with somebody talking about like upcoming areas of the game.
Yeah, it does that, and it does it like it actually succeeds at that because it sounds dismissive. I'll talk about that like a little bit more when we talk about Mikolash, because I think that's kind of I love that boss fight. I think it's kind of a weird triumph of redeeming dream logic as like or it was a dream as a a non-dismissal
as a non-fuck you. Yeah.
Well, yeah. One of the things about them being physical arrows is the other thing that happens in this, as opposed to Call of Cthulhu, is that like when you get too much insight, it actually grows your brain until it splits open.
Mm-hmm.
So like when you pick up those skulls or those great ones knowledge or whatever, they're skulls that have actually blossomed from too much knowledge. So that like it has a physical effect on you.
Yeah.
Sorry, just the use of the word blossom there.
Yeah, like a real encephalitis bloom.
Yeah.
My skin crawled directly off of my body and is now on the floor.
You ever overboil an egg?
I'm very cold.
It's one of them skull prolapses.
All right, I quit.
Okay. Yep.
Good night, everyone.
Found my limit.
Yeah.
David, we're deporting you.
Well, it's fair.
This also, like when I was complaining about Frenzy in every episode of the show so far and everyone in the season, I forgot about this scene because I think this is one of the few times that Frenzy kind of works.
Yeah.
In the game,
Frenzy's
like,
totally fair in this scene.
Yeah, like this kind of like World War II style, like running from cover to cover.
Years of blood.
Storming the beach of Brainmundy.
Yeah.
We're back to FDR again.
Yeah.
Oh,
kind of works though. Like I'm kind of into it.
You lucky few, you band of blood brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, the entire encounter here is built around it. Whereas it feels very ill considered in the Nightmare Frontier. It's barely used in the waking world. And even later on, when it pops up here, it's used pretty well.
It's used kind of well. I hate that place so goddamn much. Like, and we'll get to it, but I hate that scene. I think this is done really well though.
Yeah.
And it's just having a stationary agent of Frenzy. So like if the idea of Frenzy is that you break line of sight, that works so much better when it's a spotlight or a lighthouse rather than when it's, a thing chasing you around.
Yeah.
Later on, we're going to get to like the most frustrating source of Frenzy in the game, though. So
I think,
let's not praise this level too much.
Egregious. Like I think this level is great, but that part is so frustrating. Yeah. Cole's into it. You can already tell based on his gentle huns. At this point, Kole is into that part. So
I'm
love
kind
Brain
of with
Friend.
Kole, actually. I kind of like, even when this area sucks, I kind of like it.
I mean, overall, it's still pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Reaffirm your fealty to the Nightmare of Benson.
Yes. We don't. Okay, so where does everybody stand after the Nightmare Trail? We're taking score.
I love Nightmare Mensis.
Yeah.
Love that Mensis.
Yeah. But like
love sideways mouths, love big brains, love everything about it.
Well, those Laura and Silver Beasts, this isn't the first time we've seen them. But this is at least the first time in the overworld or outside of the chalices where they drop parasites after you kill them.
Yeah. This is
Yeah.
the first time where they're
Whoa.
crawling with bugs on the inside of their bodies.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
like most things.
What I forget what the super great lore reason for that is, but it just like reminded me of like this like horrible animals that are just like crawling internally with like parasites and
Ugh.
stuff, and you're just like,
Yeah.
There's
I wonder if my dog is filled with like horrible worms that are going to try to kill me.
oh, that makes me
yes.
sad.
Goose, are you filled with worms?
No answer. That's the first sign. That's what you'd say if you
Sounds
were
like
a
worms.
Yeah.
Uh,
What's
like,
the matter? Worm got your tongue?
there's some evidence to suggest that these actually help aid the transformation along,
Okay.
based on what we see of what is presumably Lawrence in the in the Chalice dungeons, with the worm sticking out of his head, and also Lawrence's skull with the hole
yeah.
sticking out of it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Worm lore.
That's
but-
sweet worm lore.
Yeah, but there are a couple here before this first lamp when you're making your grand approach. But like this whole first area, this Nightmare Trail is just kind of a blind run up this bridge and this hill that is covered with these Lore and Silver Beasts and these rock throwing Yetis to get to kind of the ground facing level of one of these cathedrals.
Mm-hmm. And there's
Very
traps here.
bullshit
There are
awaits.
things to pick up, and you shouldn't pick them up.
Oh no, because they're just
Come back
blood.
later.
Yeah.
If you found a really kind of obscure Easter egg in the game, come back later. Like not an Easter egg, but like you could very easily miss the thing that turns off the hurt air.
The
this section.
hurt hair.
Yeah. But yeah, let's talk about this cathedral here.
Yeah. Ooh boy, arachnophobes do not sign up for this ride.
Yeah.
You must be less than this afraid of spiders to enter.
keep it going, Cole. Let's get another one.
Yeah.
Eight-legged freaks. How about eight-legged? Oh no.
Come on. I want to get like a soundboard that just generates a new one of those every time I press the button.
Your morning drive time radio show that's just arachnophobia themed.
Yeah,
keep me out of your world wide web.
Yeah,
Oh,
WEB.
All right. Good night, everybody.
You swallow over 12 of me a year. Like at that point, you're a spider DJ too.
Yeah. Oh man, could you imagine a spider DJ? How awesome he could spin!
Oh, goodness gracious!
6 at once. I mean, he has to
Yeah,
support himself.
lefty number 3.
And
This is not the first time MC Chris's character has come up on this show.
No, it is not.
True. MCP Pants would be. He was a spider DJ. We have talked about that.
Boom.
Oh, 612
ready
Wharf
number one.
Avenue.
Yeah, holding the cans on.
I was really proud of myself the first time I went in here, and I managed to murder all these goddamn spiders and the big spider. And like, all right, I killed the mini boss. Them fuckers ain't gonna respawn anymore.
No, you'd think that. Yeah,
Oh,
you'd think that.
you naive fool.
Because
Yeah,
there
so-
sure is another hard boss coming.
The first time I went in here, I sprinted to like I just like blind sprint because when I saw because I had run away, the only way I got into the cathedral the first time was running from the Silver Beast dudes. And getting into the door because I was like, okay, well, they probably can't follow me indoors. And so I was correct about that. And then like I just turned around and it's like, oh, fuck, because there's all these spiders scurrying toward me. And so I just kept
That's
going.
exactly how I did it.
I just kept sprinting. And I sprinted up and I actually sprinted. And thankfully, given all the things that eventually would give chase if you just sprinted this little, got to the shortcut elevator. I just like ran, like stumbled into it. I was just like blind running. And I was like,
And the shortcut that is like to the right side of the lantern.
yeah, the
Yes.
first shortcut.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It was a nice bit of serendipity.
Being able to skip this cathedral is good. Like if you're able to do that, because it is if you just run, you're fine. But if you want to stop and pick up anything, or if you get stopped by the hunter that's just past it, which like he's on kind of a choke point. That's where I've died trying to run through and getting killed by him before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
When
should
I was
probably
first
describe
running,
it
it
just
was-
in case anyone's totally vicariously living the game through the show. As there are regular spiders, but then there's one gigantic spider called the Nightmare Apostle, which I really like.
Well, they're all Nightmare Apostles.
Are they really? I thought
Yeah.
just the big one was called that.
Nope.
I might have misread the guide. Okay.
Which also implies that these are worshippers of Mensis going through some kind of transformation.
Oh, sure. They're going to grow little dumb bowl cuts.
Yep.
Like they're going to sprout a human face under that.
Yeah.
Man, can you imagine if the big one had a big human head with that haircut?
Hello.
Hey guys, what's up?
Oh boy, I would be pretty into that.
I'm in the monkeys.
Have you considered term life insurance?
Take the last train to Mensis.
Oh man.
Wake up, sleepy Mikolash.
But if you just run in and you don't like kind of go near them or provoke them, they just hang there, just ultra still, menacing you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Similar to the best parts of Brightstone and Sildora, but
Exactly.
like creepier.
Yeah.
You know, because I love the
think they're kinda
symmetry when
cute.
you first come in of the big spider.
Because you're right in the center.
Yeah, it's really like a amazingly composed video game shot,
Mm-hmm.
and it does have that like, oh, I'm gonna fight that feeling that doesn't feel great.
Yeah. Jeez. The spiders in this game are just fucking hateful too. Like, especially when you get into like the chalice dungeons.
Oh yeah.
Like those things will just totally fuck you up. Like
Yeah.
so
The,
quick.
the Rom chalice fight.
Yeah.
night.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't
That's-
remind me of Rom. I like Rom as like a thing. I hate Rom as a fight. So yeah.
I love Rom in every way. I think Rom is an adorable sheep spider that wants you to love it.
I'm with you, buddy.
I like Rom. Like I said, I like Rom as a thing. It's just Rom and me. We don't have to hang. It's like you can like certain people, but not want to hang out with them.
Whatever Rom wants to
Not
do in
let
the
them to drop
privacy of his own lake is
alligators
fine
on
with
you.
me, but I don't want him imposing his views on me.
Yeah, it's just like he comes over and like just shows up. Like, who the fuck just shows up these days at someone's apartment? Like, why would you do that?
Just
Yeah,
text, dog.
don't call me. Text.
Well, that's the thing. He doesn't even text. He calls. He full on phone calls you and is like, "Hey, I'm coming over."
He probably doesn't text you because wants to avoid the roaming charges on his phone.
That's, all right.
That's the okay. As the guy who said that stuff earlier about spiders, that's the dumbest goddamn thing I've ever heard.
We're not mad, we're disappointed.
Eh.
What I kind of like about this little area, by the way, is that there's like a lot of fucked up shit in this game.
Uh-huh.
And as you know, but these spiders, they're just fucking spiders.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
Until
they're
they're
big.
not.
Much.
They're just like the crows. Like they're set up in contrast to something later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, you mean
Bloodborne
the
has that
worst
one
birds
trick. It's really
ever?
good, but like, what if one thing's head was another thing's head?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, but like, so this is two big encounters: the outdoors, and then these gigantic spiders that you need to rom right past, and then like this, like, so you're encouraged to run, and you're gonna have a bunch of stuff on your tail, which is gonna make every successive encounter much more difficult. Like the chances of you
they have a
getting,
chain. Like they won't follow you too far.
I suppose, yeah.
Like a lot of
Those
that
spiders will follow you onto the bridge, and then fucking Edgar is gonna ruin your shit.
Yeah.
Like I've never gotten into the Edgar fight clean.
I get in the hallway between them and then ruin a bunch of spiders by using like a Ludwig thrust.
Oh, sure.
That's my matrimony move.
Matrimony move.
Is that what kids call their sex specials?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever
Okay.
kids talk about Netflix these days, that's what they mean.
Yeah.
My matrimonial, your sex specials, by the way. So
I can only use it
a
when my
second
meter's
to
full.
realize like the joke you were making there. Like, yeah, back, forward,
back forward, back
like
forward. Just
some-
keep going.
half circle back, X.
It's one of the hold moves. It's really annoying to pull off.
Yeah.
This Edgar guy. So this is the hunter you fight here, and the important thing, like it's a hard fight. He's got this threaded cane, and is kind of a pain. But the big thing with him is that he's definitely from the choir. So this is another piece of evidence that there's some strife in the ranks of these different factions of the church.
Yeah.
Here
This
And we
guy's
ran
cool
into-
as shit. I love this guy.
He's real stylish. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's pretty swank.
Yeah.
There's a couple other things that come up later. There are a couple of like church specific items, but they show up everywhere.
Yeah.
So I don't want to give them that much credit, but this is the big kind of smoking gun the choir's invested here.
Yeah.
I like that. I do kind of like that because like part of me like I never completely sussed out all the the intrigue with the church. So part of me just is wondering, it's like, did someone just go, hey, there's something going on, we should send someone just to check this out, it's probably nothing. It's probably nothing.
Seems suspicious.
And then like he comes in and it's like Jesus fuck, it's an entire nightmare dimension.
Yeah, he walks into the unseen village and just everyone's dead and has a cage on their head. And just like, well, I should have checked in sooner.
Yeah, this is
Cat's in the cradle, I guess.
All right. He's like, wouldn't you know, it's my last week. Wah, wah.
Last day on the job. Choir intelligencer. Riggs.
Yeah. But this guy, again, if you run past him, he will, follow you into the Panopticon, which is a disorienting level that even looking at the map in the guide, I still can't make heads or tails of how this thing is laid out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It is just like kind of an odd little mansion kind of section of this place where you run into one of the we talk about kind of goofiest enemy awards in Bloodborne. There have been a couple different we got goofy students and we got the Lauren Silver Beast with their sideways faces. These little guys.
Those are not goofy. Those are the stuff of nightmares.
I thrown Kole a bone. Kole thinks those guys are goofy.
Yeah,
we have a noted disagreement.
I do think they are goofy. They look like Muppets.
Kole wrong, Kole bad. Kole makes spider jokes.
Oh, Kole good. Kole
good. All right, I'll see you guys later, I guess. Cole's fine.
Kole's doing good.
I remember we're talking about the little dudes, right?
Yeah,
we're talking about little dudes. We're
I
talking
like the little
about
dudes.
I think they're really goofy. Like I like them too, but I think they're like they look like J.F. Sebastian's little guys from Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Like his little
now I like
my
them.
friends.
Now I like them more.
Yeah,
home again, jiggity jig.
Yeah.
They seemed I guess lore wise, these are like attendants, right? Of the nightmare. Does that mean that they were like dudes on the outside, or are they kind of constructed in here?
They look like constructs and they behave very unnaturally.
Yeah. That's why I dug
they
them.
Were like weird, the equivalent of nightmare, like clockwork. Like they kind of remind me of the short creatures in Dark Souls 2. The little weird
the little
the bell keepers.
Fucking gargoyle point. Ugh. Sorry.
And those are also, I think, constructed, right? You run into like a bunch
those
of
are
broken
puppets.
Those
are explicitly puppets.
And I love
we know that because they drop a piece of armor that tells us that. Bloodborne.
Given that later on with Mikolash, spoilers, there's these other puppets. I kind of saw them in the same way.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I love the idea that this is like a perverted version of like childhood, because puppets are kids' toys. Right? Just like those marionettes are. Like, but this is, they're like, these things are here to comfort this growing thing that like, I don't know if like the way this was created, like it's a reflection of like, it's an imposition of a human's idea of childhood onto these old ones, because an old one obviously doesn't need a huge ass castle. Like that's strictly for everybody else. And like, what is a kid like? Oh, let's give him all these dolls that are walking around.
Yeah.
Well,
with knives.
Okay. So I have a general like diving off of that. I have like a general theory about this area that I kind of like. So this isn't jumping ahead too much, but the winter, what do they call winter lamps?
Winter lanterns.
Yeah. Yeah, and so the model under it kind of looks like the doll. Which I forget if that's been covered.
We talked about it a little bit. I don't know exactly what you're going to say, but it sounds like you're heading towards something.
I'm unpredictable, so
but
he's the wild card.
So, and their heads kind of look like they're made of like a combo of like the horrible, Mensis brain eyes and maybe like little bodies or something.
They're messengers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. So then this totally works. So, the doll being this constructed thing, I feel like you can't. Mikolash and Churchy Bro here, like there's not like a whole ton of actual human intelligences in here at this point. Like there's like the spider bros and stuff, but like a lot of the ones that seem to be kind of just going around doing their thing seem to be these constructed individuals. And but with Mikolash's marionettes and the dolls with weird brain heads, and these guys. I got the idea. It's like, yeah, you can't actually have human intelligences too close to these things for too long. Like you have to kind of have, drones attending it because they're
fakos.
they're not going to get sucked into some nightmare dream thing and have like their brains exploded by although I guess that maybe was what happened with the Winterlands. But anyway, that's my general theory. That's one of the reasons I liked this area, is because it felt like this relatively dead space around this horrible thing, because it had to be somewhat dead of like actual human like intelligence, because you just can't get that close to it. Like you have to have your bomb disposal unit.
I was just gonna say like unmanned drones.
You have to have that. I love that about it.
Anything living is corrupted, and even if you follow the idea that the Winter Lanterns are automatons that are kind of like animating, anything that is inanimate, it can be corrupted too by that. Like they're going to be kind of assembled into something that will come after you.
Yeah.
Well, the Winter Lanterns, they sing. Like to me, it feels like they've absorbed something that isn't just like a fake robot kind of.
It's a mark of sentience.
Yeah.
Like they write songs.
I didn't know if that was them, or if this was like some fucking like music from beyond shit. This is just
they totally sing, they hum, it's real creepy.
I thought that maybe that's what they were kind of channeling some sort of like otherworldly thing. Like if you could hear the brain, that's what the brain is doing.
What's weird about it is it's not directional. Like on a surround sound system, to me it doesn't sound like it's coming from where they're at. Like I almost interpret that as like Yarnum's lullaby or something like that you're just hearing on the bridge because of the acoustics or something like that.
I definitely thought it was as the Winter Lanterns. I didn't think about that.
It happens in Nightmare Frontier as well.
Yeah, that's when it's the only place I heard it actually.
Maybe I just had more. I had more insight this time than I did when we did.
It's a function of insight.
Yeah.
Whether you can pick them up. I mean, it's not the fact that it's non-directional could be. This idea that they're channeling this kind of music from beyond thing too, but I think it is related to the Winter Lanterns. I think that they're producing it somehow, whether they're they don't have mouths. They're clearly not like singing it, but producing
or they're beaming it
somehow
into your head.
They're thinking it really hard.
Yeah. Like you're not hearing it, but it's like it's being conferred into your consciousness.
But I think that you're right as far as the lullaby thing, or at least in that it is meant to be. Because when we talk about those guys, I'll reiterate my grand unifying theory of why they're wearing dolls' dresses, and I think that it is meant to be this kind of perverted form of comfort.
I love the idea of that as a lullaby. That is upsetting.
These little guys are not explicitly aggro or aggressive, but they will. I love if you just stand close to them too long, they'll shove you away.
Yep.
Like they just have work to do. Like they're little teamsters.
Get the fuck out of here, man.
Like I got to deliver these bananas uptown.
I'm working here.
I'm working here. Where Mergo's attendance.
That big guy's whipping us.
Exactly. Then their boss comes and he's just like, "You've been bothering my boys." It's like when I worked at the department store, and my manager would chase away the union guy when he tried to talk to us.
Oh shit!
It gets like that.
Sucks.
That's so cartoonish. I mean, it sucks, but it's.
I worked at a grocery store for about 4 years. Worked my way up to front end manager. Thank you very much. From bag boy in 4 years. By the way, that's how high turnover is in the grocery store industry. 4 years is all you're gonna take to get to like from the lowest rung to the lowest management rung.
Yeah.
But we always the rule is that the general manager is great. It's the assistant manager that's horrible. It's like the principal and the vice principal.
Oh yeah, the vice principal handles discipline, whereas the principal is more administrative.
Yeah, that's what I kind of like about this whole setup here, because you got your brain, who doesn't really seem to be in charge of much, so to speak. But then there's Mikolash, who's your general manager, and then you got these like whip dudes. Those are your that's your grocery, that's your hot foods manager. And he's just like, they're bored. They're looking for something to do. They need to justify their job.
Yeah. They gotta get those numbers up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing I love about these things is they aggro you if you carry a torch, and this is a very dark area. So I like the idea that they are kind of like seeing that as a sign, like, oh, you don't belong. You need light to see, so we're going to come after you.
Yeah.
They're like the museum docent or whatever. They're just like the brain docents, and they're just like, stop you, no flash photography here, please.
Yep, giving you a hard time.
We're going to come back to this area for now. This kind of big area full of pits
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. But for now, we go up this elevator. We talked about these birds with dog heads. You got his dogs with birds heads on the notes, and that's interesting too.
Oh, they're like those are around.
Yeah.
There are definitely some dogkins here.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
yeah. They're kind of harder to
are-
read because they move a little quicker.
Yeah.
But yep.
But yeah, these
I
are
like these a lot. Like they have no gameplay purpose other than to make you feel spookums.
There isn't a whole lot of like, horrible like experimentation going on of this sort here.
Mhm.
So I like that the game is just like, okay, we got these two enemies. Let's absolutely fuck with people. 'Cause this is the,
Like
the noise
who's
they
doing the
make.
Dr. Moreauing here? Like
Yeah.
it is because previously, like in the Unseen Village, they were putting bodies together
Yeah.
somehow. We had those kind of corpse piles and the mine carts. So they're doing something like to that effect. But this, maybe this is practice for that.
Yeah.
Because things have other heads here, and they've been sewing human things onto human things. But with the dream world, they can cross species.
Yeah, I just read this as like the rules completely falling apart
Yeah.
at this point. Like, and also I really enjoy that these are in cages sometimes, whereas before you got the sense that these were just carrion birds that were, roaming the streets eating corpses. No, these are here and they're feeding on flesh, and it's intentional that they're here.
Yeah, they're pets.
Yeah.
I kind of saw it a little bit as kind of like what you're saying with the rules falling apart. Similar to actually how I see the winter lamp. I'm gonna keep messing this up.
Winter lanterns.
The
Brain
winter
friends.
the winter's bones and the it's a good movie. But I like the idea that this was just kind of like this is like some sort of memory of a dog and the worst birds ever. God.
Well,
Got just
No, totally,
intermingled and fucked up.
yeah, that's exactly what. Yeah, because when the winter lanterns and stuff, like I think that part of like when you are here in this world, I feel like you're bringing parts of the real world with you
Yep.
into this nightmare, and that's why. I mean, I'll just get it out of the way now, and I've said it before on the show, but I think that's why the winter lanterns look like messengers and the doll, because those are very helpful things in the real world or in the dream, the hunter's dream. These are things that sell you things and empower you.
Yeah.
Here, it's the worst enemy in the game because it's a nightmare.
Mhm.
And you remember fighting dogs and you remember fighting birds, and now everything's all scribbly scrabbly
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're in a nightmare. It's because the whole without spilling too much like nerd stuff, like there's a whole lot of stuff in the tabletop Call of Cthulhu game about people who are dreaming influencing their dreams willfully and not willfully, and I think that's what's going on here.
Yeah.
Is you're kind of building this reality based on your real life experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely my take on it too. That's like one of the reasons I really love this area is wondering how much of this is what you've brought in with you.
Yeah.
I really love the idea that these things are like and that's why like they frenzy you so horribly when you look at them. It's like something that's super close and personal to you that you just get too close. Like when you think about something from like your past or whatever, you just like wince or something. And it's like I felt like it was like that, but just like but with like ice pick fear and trauma or
Wince
something.
and your
that was
brain
just-
explodes.
Yeah.
that was just like I actually can't. I literally can't even think about it. And like not in the sense that it actually maps onto an experience, but just some sort of sensation
Yeah.
that you just can't look directly at. Just kind of like one of the theme of this entire area is you cannot look at this thing.
Yeah.
The winter lanterns always gave me a real like mom vibe, which now takes on just layers of meaning. Sorry, mom. That
It's mothers as presented in horror movies.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
they look kind of caring in a way.
Yeah. Was good that they got those doll bodies,
Yeah, I actually didn't notice
Do
the
they?
doll bodies until you all mentioned them. And then I had to
Somebody
go,
pointed them out. Like somebody,
Yeah.
it was a big Reddit thing where somebody figured it out. Like we
Yeah.
didn't realize that ourselves because you're set up in a position where you can't look at these things. You know,
Yeah.
so like whoever the hero was who decided to examine them closely, like
Yeah.
it wasn't me.
Yeah.
I noticed it just because of their giant hands.
Oh sure.
Yeah, and I was like, because I noticed that like, the proportions of the doll are really distinct.
Mhm.
I like that. I like that she's like 8 foot tall or something.
Yes.
Like a
Very
Barbie.
tall. with these like giant hands and stuff. I love the way that she's proportioned as like this kind of like, no matter how tall you are, she's going to be someone that like definitely looks like she can take care of you in some way. That's one of the things I like. It's like she's like, like one of those like nurse dolls but for adults, which is fucking creepy.
It's roof. I mean, dissertation about the relationship between the player and that doll.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know that I keep on referencing Silent Hill, but that is one of my favorite series of video games. But specifically, like 1 and 3, the idea that you are experiencing kind of a hell based on this one particular character's experience of the world and their short, painful existence. You know, the fact that it is this child who, you know, had to go through a terrible school life and, you know, did have terrible experiences in a hospital, and, you know, everything kind of mapping onto that. And just the idea that what you're seeing here mixed with this Lovecraft idea of you can't fathom it, and everything you're seeing snapping to grid. You know, like this is the closest thing to what the world is, what this unfathomable thing is trying to present to me. So my perception is going to find the nearest convenient analog, and it's going to be horrible and achieve the same effect.
Yeah, it's like I always have a dream when I am stressed, which is because I'm into game development all the time now, where I'm driving in like the front seat and then like, you know, realize I'm not paying attention and I'm somehow now in the back seat.
Oh, no.
Like reaching forward and holding the wheel, and I've just passed a cop, and so who's like now trying to pull me over because I'm going super fast because I'm not paying attention and driving for the back seat, so I can somehow get into the front seat without anyone seeing.
The cop's called Metacritic, and
the cop's called Metacritic. 7.7. You're gonna go broke.
No bonus for you.
These debts will not be repaid, sir.
Your friends will know you're a fraud, just like they always thought and you always knew.
God damn it, Dream Cop. All Dream Cops are bastards. Speaking of which,
here they
comes
go.
the Dream Cops.
Yeah, sorry.
That's one siren
everyone.
I'm not going to edit out.
I narked pretty
they're
hard.
here, the Dream Police.
But I like that. I like the idea that is, this is either you or Mikolash or whoever the fuck is bringing all this imagery in to it.
Well, that's the thing is I think it's you, because when you kill
Has to
Mikolash, he wakes up and it's still there. So like that's the revelation true. Is like you think this is Mikolash crafting all of this shit, but it's not. You know, and part of that comes through translation stuff, because to us he's called the host of the nightmare, but the original Japanese word is something much closer to like administrator of the nightmare, or like you know, boss of, but not necessarily like creator of, or the person who crafted it.
Monsters. They look like monsters to you?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The whole idea of poor Mikolash waking up makes me so sad.
Yeah, it is Mikolash. Let's cruise to Mikolash real quick.
Yeah, let's do that.
There's not too much else. We go through a library.
We keep getting onto that. That's Mikolash. So.
Yeah. We keep getting distracted by Winter Lanterns, which is like the story of the Bloodborne season of the show. But like, I want to talk about Mikolash. I love Mikolash.
So you walk into this library past these enemies that are called ethereal walkers, I guess, and they're kind of these animated skeleton marionettes. But as you pass through this archway into the library proper, you get this bone-chilling short cinematic of this. I hate to be normative here, crazy man, kind of like glowering at you, like with this Kubrick stare / crazy smile through his head cage thing, and
his antenna.
Yeah, his antenna, and you know that this is not going to end well for either of you.
Yeah.
Well, like most likely for him, because like one of the things I like about this boss is it's one of the times when Bloodborne decided to put something in higher up on the scale of importance than difficulty. You know, like this is a really easy boss, but it doesn't make it any less memorable or cool.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
When I fought him, I fought him on back when this game had that bug where if you played for too long, the bosses would lose some abilities. So he was especially weak, and it actually felt like, I mean, he's weak normally, but it felt like super intentional that this guy was not at all able to fight me.
Yeah, just a real pushover.
Yeah.
If
Well,
you can
he's
dodge, if
out
you
of
can
his
get away
best.
from his AOE attack, he's nothing at all.
Yeah. The thing, so the concept for people again who are playing the game vicariously through us is that after he does this thing, he runs away from you while kind of delivering dialogue and kind of taunts you as you have to run through these hallways where there are these puppets that you can fight or that try to slow you down, and nothing's really a threat. But the thing I really love about this is the way that Bloodborne emulates these different kind of dream tropes. So when we talked about the Real Hunter's Workshop, we talked a little bit about how it's like, oh, like this is my school, but not my school. You know, it's like the horror of the familiar or the near familiar. And to me, this is like the boss fight equivalent of the endless hallway dream.
Yeah.
You know, like you have to get somewhere, you're chasing something, but everything's really confusing. There are, you know, you can get stuck in circles over and over, and you never seem to make any, like, you make progress eventually, but it takes a little while to figure out and make progress. And it's also, if you consider this to be like a puzzle boss, if you consider this to be in the line of like Bed of Chaos and the like, this is my favorite of those.
Oh yeah,
Like,
easily.
This is so good, just because, and it's delivering exposition while you're playing, which is like something that these games don't do an awful lot. I mean, they do through like looking at the environment, but this whole audio log, similar thing, like someone talking to you while I'm trying to get somewhere, really like that efficiency in games.
Yeah.
I just really love that feeling of like, just like, oh, like this is just an endless, confusing, you know, death library. And, you know, and getting to him too, like the things he says and his voice actor is really on point.
Oh yeah.
The, those screeches that he does, that like cracking, like, thing that I can't do it. It's too high up, but that thing is amazing.
Yeah.
Like,
and he's pretending to howl.
yeah, the
Like-
howl. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Is that
That's some
weird
Blade
howl
Runner shit going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's super Blade Runner, and like,
Yeah, this whole part reminded me a little bit of that.
Oh, totally.
yeah, but just the fact that he is howling, and it's obviously not like a bestial howl. This is just a dude howling. Like he is doing whatever he can to ascend.
Yeah.
Right? Like everybody else got to fucking transform into a beast. What did I do wrong?
Yeah. Well, I think, I mean, I don't think he wants to be a beast. Like he's trying to do this, you know.
Well, he's just
going the other
mimicking
route.
into it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I know, but
he's
like
he's
even
going-
still, like
Yeah.
he's just grabbing for whatever he can.
I
He's
think this is just,
sandberging. He's leaning in.
yeah, it's just, you know, howl, like literally howling mad, or like this is some kind of, that keening noise that he's making is some kind of communication with these from beyond things that he's dealing with.
Yeah.
You know, and his dialogue here is really interesting. Like it's essential. Like it did, you know, an understanding of the game is this whole with the cosmology, this whole like thing of him talking about this. This
Or cosmology.
yes,
Or some say cosmology.
Very good. I was just about to make that joke, but I'm glad you did, because you articulated better than I was going to.
Because you're
The,
a joke martyr.
I don't jump on that
Right on
sword.
that joke grenade.
But yeah, so this whole idea of this cause or cosm that he's praying to, and I was looking online to figure out what people think that is, because it's not him. Initially I thought he was misunderstanding the word cosmos, or this was just his crazy brain interpreting it, but he says cosmos later.
Yeah.
You know, he knows the word. It's in his vocab. So it's this idea of this other great one that we don't know anything about.
Specifically
he's
one that
trying-
grants the eyes.
Yeah, he's trying to get, you know, he's reaching out to this great one to be like Rom, which, like, we saw how Rom ended. Like, you don't want to be Rom.
Rom succeeded in a way.
Well, he succeeded in a way, but Rom does not seem like a happy pup to me. So you see
Ron
the
get
episode.
lobotomized?
That's what it strikes me. Like, I think Rom is like an idiot god.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it feels like to me.
They like made
there's-
room for the eyes. They
There's a
made Rom
profound
vacuous.
stupidity to Rom. Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's how I interpret vacuous with him.
There's
Her.
so much of this, like, you know, that little head cages they wear, like, actually remind me of, like, the horrible shit they used to put on people in, like, mental institutions.
Yes.
It's like a Nine Inch Nails video.
Yeah.
And so the idea, I like the fact, and again, this actually goes back to the Lovecraft thing, like Lovecraft's extraordinary fear of eventually ending up in some sort of asylum or whatever.
Yeah, because both his parents did.
Yeah,
Or, you know,
because his dad, I think,
because
got
his
syphilis or
dad
something.
did, and his dad went crazy from syphilis, and
Which is always, like, the interesting thing about, like, Lovecraft's relationship to
Sex?
to mental illness and stuff. Like,
Oh, yeah.
it comes from a deep phobia of his based on childhood trauma and, like, just, like, familial trauma, and, like, the way that this was not understood and horribly dealt with at the time. it makes his works like a lot sadder, because it's like you see how easily his fear and his worldview leads him to fear that this is what will happen to him. Because of all these encroaching things, he's going to end up just like his parents and die the same way. And
turns
it makes
Cthulhu into more of a boogeyman than a big idea.
Yeah, it just like is the like, okay, if I do this, this is going to happen to me. If I don't do this, if I don't keep things on an even keel, if I don't get out of Brooklyn, I'm going to end up just like my parents. And he's horrible. I mean, he's a straight up horrible like xenophobe, and among other things. But it's interesting to see how that it's weird. There's a weird honesty and vulnerability to his horrible hate mongering. Because
you're preaching to the choir, buddy.
Yeah.
I am on that side. And it's interesting, too, when you think about his dad specifically going insane from syphilis, and you start thinking of all the sex stuff that is in Lovecraft. Like the kind of, the fear of fertility and the...
we are literally in the nightmare of Mensis here.
Totally. Totally. Like that is straight up a thing, and it just makes sense.
Well, that's one of the things I like about the fact that they, and again, I don't know how much all this is intentional, although given how meticulously they really, it seemed like, took this very inspired take on Lovecraft stuff, and I think fixed actually a lot of the more problematic stuff by making it less this didn't come from like, the lower folk or whatever. Right. This came from like, this is being imposed.
This is the intelligentsia. Like this is the old New England blood.
Yeah, this is these are the people from like universities or whatever, like imposing this on people, and the people who are more marginalized suffering for it, and being victimized by it. Like the nobility in the different places are like drinking blood and getting blood like brought to them and stuff. Like it's but I like the imagery here of the like little head cage that Mikolash is wearing, and that you find him and all his like bros mummies like kicking it like down in the Unseen Village, is that idea that he's absolutely trapped by this thing. He's trapped by all this insight that he's gained, and it kind of felt like it was like shutting out the world in some really sad way. It's like I do. You mentioned like him waking up. Like I like the idea because like he's not going to wake up. Like he's dead.
He's not. Yeah, there's a little mummy
we saw
there.
his body.
Yeah,
there's nothing for him to go back to.
I'm like a really big fan of ghost stories where you eventually see the corpse of like whatever, and it's not the ghost, and you're like, oh god, like here's the actual like remains of this thing, but something has become like detached and untethered from it. And is wandering around like,
like just his very last thought is that he's going to wake up and go back to his bland life and have to start over.
I'll forget everything.
He's worried about boredom. Like he's worried about like forgetting things, as opposed to the fact that it's like, nope, in like 2 seconds you're about to blink out of existence.
And that's a real From Beyond kind of thing, where he is somebody who has gone so far into this study that he has quite literally like neglected his body. Like he has left it. He's not home anymore, and he has no home to go back to.
Yeah.
And just like the profound tragic ignorance of that fact, and what he gave up to like get to this again threshold of victory.
But he can't like. That's what I honestly, Mikolash might be my favorite character in the game. I think he's so well developed in this tiny little time you meet him. Like he has wants and desires. He has a conflict that like he's so sad because. He's like, I'm finally gonna get it. I'm finally going, and you're like, you wonder like, how long has this guy been here? Like, how long has he been this close to like this threshold?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't think he's actually that close to it. I think he just has felt that close to it for a really long time. Like, he made this ridiculous realm, but he's no closer to because the player ultimately ends up being the person who can actually make contact with this god thing. This like corrupted great one that we find. Like he doesn't do it, but we figured it out because we got this thing from the choir, which they're at odds with. So we know the secret from the choir, and he doesn't. So it's this whole idea of the right hand not talking.
He's happy to see us. Like he wants to talk with us. It's sad.
I also like the idea that he has to feel like he's close. Because because he's given up so much, like his actions have led to the stillbirth of everybody's minds.
It can't all be for nothing,
right?
It's the Walter White thing.
It was his actions and him kind of jumping the gun on this ritual that caused everybody's minds to just implode.
God, he's really great. Like he's just such a great character. I like how like he's utterly useless unless he's using kind of borrowed power. Like he can do the call from beyond thing, which is to be fair, like the worst cheap shot in the entire game. I don't think it is. It will one shot you pretty easily. At least when I played it, I don't know if they patched that out.
It's still pretty rough.
Yeah, but if you dodge his tentacle thing, which is really easy because he has a very slow windup and you can easily dodge, and you keep hammering on him, like all he can do is like punch you, and it does nothing.
Well, he doesn't even punch until later. It's not until the second half of the fight. Like you defeat him once, and then he, starts another kind of run cycle where he starts jumping around through mirrors.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like a Scooby-Doo hallway chase scene.
Exactly,
where
that is exactly what I thought of. And this becomes a puzzle because you have to kind of trick him into running into this room where you can trap him behind a gate, and then you drop down above, and that's what kind of gives people fits in this fight, is trying to wrangle his pathfinding around that.
Do people have fits in this fight?
Yes, I've heard people have fits.
Like I've never thought that was particularly difficult.
Yeah,
like I've never had anything less than a super good time.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just got crushed by him.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, people have fits just because he doesn't behave like he ought to. Like he doesn't he doesn't always run where it makes sense for him to run to. And
you have to get him to stop
insane
at certain places. I think. Yeah.
You can't predict him.
Mm-hmm.
He's wearing a cage on his head.
Well, also this is a game, and he has to be beaten, and he has to run into this particular place. And if
you can't chain Mikolash down, okay?
he doesn't adhere to your rules.
No, wait,
he caged himself.
Have you guys seen the meme thing where everyone calls him Nicolas Cage?
Nope.
That's a thing.
Nicolas
now I'm an
Cage.
internet.
Yep.
I turned into the internet. I'm a Tumblr.
I have a Tumblr.
But I love that second leg of the fight because he still, is again borrowing the tentacles from Ebrietas. But the desperation of him attacking you just willy-nilly with his bare hands.
Yeah. It's really good.
I wonder how he thought this was going to go. Like, I wonder what he was wanting. Like, his.
I don't think he wanted to fight you at all.
Yeah,
I think he's too far gone to have a rational thought at that point. Like he made this thing, he got this far, and now he's just kind of trapped in this this endless library.
Like a new friend.
Yeah.
He doesn't really do anything that's that threatening to start it with. Like he does like weird little kid chase me shit. Like he doesn't he's not like, haha, in 5 minutes the world will explode. Better catch me.
No.
Yeah.
No, he's downright gentle.
Oh, and he's not even like Batman, like 1960s Joker kind of playful. He's not like oh, catch me, you dunderhead, or something. Like,
dunderhead.
Somebody patched that in.
Oh no, is he Kazoo? Actually, it would make sense for Kazoo to be in this game, huh?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Huh.
But yeah, like he can't really figure it out, and I honestly think it's just because he's gone.
Yeah.
Like something has flown from here.
Yep.
Yeah.
A very small bird.
A tiny little bird was released from its cage.
Yeah.
We murder this bird.
Sure do.
We stomp on this
bird.
video
game.
With using any number of stones. And so he dies. He has that really tragic, like, now I'm waking up, I'll forget everything.
Yeah.
Super sad. And
it just, like, my heart hurt when I heard that.
Yeah.
It's delivered really well. I think this is some of the best voice acting in the series. I really like this guy's voice actor.
The way he says everything, like he places the emphasis on that. Like he had in his mind everything.
Yeah. Well, it's. I think part of the reason we're reacting to this guy, and we will have to move on at some point because we have another really cool boss to talk about.
3 more hours of Mikolash.
Yeah, but the is because this is a really kind of, I don't know how realistic, but a really evocative and interesting portrayal of insanity.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a little bit of that Lovecraft thing of being like, everyone's scared of being insane.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even, and as somebody, like, I've struggled with mental health stuff before.
Oh yeah.
And
definitely.
it's scary.
Mm-hmm.
It is scary to have your mind not do things that make sense to you.
Yep.
And it's scared to have your mind, which is part of you, lie to you or tell you things that you can't trust. Like that is a way of like turning against yourself that is really, really hits like at least for me, like a really elemental fear that I have.
That's why we're in this cage. Like,
yeah,
I think like so the difficulty, not to tangent too much, is like it's difficult to talk about this fear. In part because it's like, within society, mental illness is so stigmatized and so misunderstood. And I really I hate the fact that it's misunderstood and stigmatized such because I actually really like horror fiction that deals with insanity. It's actually one of the things I like about Lovecraft, I think, is as someone who does struggle with mental illness and is on like meds and stuff for it, like I totally identify with this. Like, and it is 100% like something that is like fundamental to my understanding of horror. And I don't think you can have honest horror that doesn't delve into your own like ability to grasp and your own brain's like, messing with you on some level. Like, I think kind of all horror is psychological on some level, unless it's just straight up, there's a bear, it's going to eat me or something,
sometimes the machines don't work is the best kind of horror to me.
Yeah, it's really great. And so like, one of the things that I love about Bloodborne is it starts off in gothic horror and then ends in this very Lovecrafty modern horror that's like all weird fiction and like sciences and like machines and like, these different social structures are what is going to do us in. And our own inability to kind of be cognizant and like understand, like, like Mikuláš, you can't hold everything in your brain. There's just too much. It's just too much. And I love how Bloodborne crosses that line between like, oh, it's werewolves, spooky, scary, and then into like the werewolves are quaint now because we're in like this nuts dude's like dream, like thing, and you're like running around and like you're on the verge of this thing that you can't even grasp like at all.
You start at scary furry monster and end at the concept of truth can't exist. Bye.
Sleep tight. It's so good. Yeah.
I'll belabor this on my point too. It's kind of like how the dad storyline affected me the most in Gone Home a little bit. Like I think there's a little bit about Mikuláš that kind of speaks to the neurotic nerd who possibly
he is the biggest nerd in this game. He is easily the nerd boss.
But it's like, okay, so what are you giving up, and who, what are you not considering that you're just kind of throwing to the wind or to the wood chipper by pursuing this thing single-mindedly, which to your mind, is kind of one of the only ways to do it, right?
Yeah.
A little bit. And then just at the end here, when it was for nothing and you have to snap back, the fear that there's nothing for you to return to after following this, this path, not to an ultimate reward, but to just a dead end that you have to retrace.
Some fucking jock runs in and knocks over your brain dolls.
We are that jock. Like in this game, like we're just we're gonna go beat up Mikuláš.
Yeah, because strength is the only viable build.
Mikuláš's thing, his single-mindedness, that whole thing of like, you were just touching on the idea of like, I have to keep this going because this couldn't all be for nothing. Like, it does speak also to like the kind of like existential horror of this game and to Lovecraft stuff, and to, again, I think a lot of the best horror is the idea of you having to face, just the concept of meaninglessness. And like you have to like stare it like in the face and figure out how to deal with it. And Mikuláš does this in an incredibly destructive way, but in a way that it arrests him in development. He can, his actual body's dead. It's not going anywhere. He's stuck here. And like
it does sort of forecast the what you're mentioning there, forecast the end of the game. Spoilitos. I don't know. Is it okay to talk about that thematically?
Yeah.
Yep.
So like two of the major options are it didn't mean anything, or it didn't mean anything. Like you only get those. There's only one where
or
anything
I'm a
meant
baby.
Anything. Yeah.
I'm just gonna roll with this shit.
It's the dinosaurs ending. I'm the baby.
God, I really actually like that ending too. Anyway, I like the ending because like unlike okay, sorry. You're gonna deal with this on your actual ending show, so I won't get into it.
Yeah. No, it's
futility. It's a real video game.
So when he did, can I take us on? Do we have any lingering thoughts?
please.
We should scoot.
Yep. Sorry.
Just how the caged Mikolash sings.
Yes.
All right.
I know why the cage Mikolash sings. You pick up the cage of Mensis, which you've seen all of these corpses, and the description says kind of alludes to the idea that this is an antenna being folly. Like it might just be trapping their own stuff inside rather than letting them see more stuff outside. More importantly, this is what you should wear for the rest of the game and all subsequent playthroughs.
If you want to look like a gigantic goofball.
Well, yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Well, fashion.
Counterpoint, if you use that weird pyramid head thing, it gonks on the ladder.
Oh,
true.
Damn it. That's
You
a
had to
good
use
point.
one of the two goofy hats.
Yeah.
Silly hats only, my friend.
The Souls games are all about goofy hats. What was the goofy hat in Dark Souls 2?
The
Didn't they
one,
have
right?
a version of the monk hat?
There is or there's the you can get the head of the smelter demon.
Mhm.
It has two
Oh, yeah.
ridiculous big horns
Oh,
that
okay,
pop
yeah.
out.
Yeah.
There's a really cool swanky cap you can get as well with the scary mask. But then you have to kill Lucatil, which is
Well,
sad.
you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after he dies, we can take a bridge up to Mergo's loft, where there's this kind of balcony. There's a couple more dogs. You can do that, but instead we're going to do this weird Easter egg thing first, because this opens up a thing, and there's not really anything that indicates that I could see. Like maybe my spatial awareness was not strong enough to know this was a
It's
thing.
super hidden. It's
Yeah.
real hidden.
Yeah.
Like an elevator or a little bridge opens up that goes to a thing, and then an elevator opens up.
Yeah.
So let's talk about getting down to that stuff.
Well, yeah. So anytime there's an elevator without a door, I'm going to be looking for stuff to jump off onto.
Yeah.
So that was my
Well, right before you do this, like, oh, okay. So I thought we were talking about going to the brain of Mensis.
yeah. That's how you get to it.
So before you get to it, though, you have to pull the lever to make it drop.
Yeah, and that's this whole other thing, like through the bridge into the attic, where with all that stuff. But to get there, you actually have to make that jump through the busted door to get onto the bridge with the crazy stealth maze with the winter lanterns.
Yeah.
So, you guys don't like this. I
No.
do.
Interesting. Yeah.
This
like
game
it
mechanic was not very well telegraphed. Like it's really hard to tell where safety is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's really hard to know where safety is. You still take damage even after you're seen for a long time.
Oh, really?
If you go, you don't, not damage, sorry, your frenzy builds up. Whether you're being seen, after you first are spotted, your frenzy continues to build for a
Yeah.
while. So there's nothing that you can't course correct. If you happen to, if like a winter lantern catches the edge of your foot, you're down for a large amount of frenzy, whether you run back or not.
Yeah, man, I had such a hard time. I put like all my frenzy gear on, and the fact that the meter goes up when you're out of line of sight just
and that
led
they
me
do
to be
grab
so
attacks.
confused.
So it's an enemy that exists to make you. It takes away your ability to act. So you have this like just meter just filling up, But if it only has a grab attack, it can only make you helpless while it does this thing. And like I don't like grab attacks anyway. I think that they're kind of bad. Like it's like you just have to sit here and watch your guy. I like with
Zangief's
mimics.
gonna come in here and fucking lariat you.
Yeah.
Zangief, buddy. I'm not.
We have
into
to
it.
talk.
Yeah, we have to talk. But like
So
the thing,
I ended up getting through this pretty easy after I realized what was going on, because unlike everyone else in Bloodborne, I was an arcane build.
yeah, I could see that working, even though I feel like arcane is kind of underpowered still.
It's
in the
weird.
game.
It's a weird niche thing. I remember, Davin, when you got to the end of the game, you're like, dude, you need to go and like get your arcane like way, way, way up. And so like on New
it's
Game
so
Plus,
fun.
I put everything into arcane, and yeah, it's great.
It's so good. You shoot space lasers.
I think that one of the big reasons why this scene doesn't work for me is that like for me, my enjoyment of stealth games, and I've said this before, but it stays true here, is that like stealth games for me are as fun or as good as it is fun to get caught.
No.
Yep.
Like if it's fun to get caught in a stealth game, that's a good stealth game.
It's
if
Corvo's
not fun,
postulate.
Yeah. If it's not fun, if it's Indigo Prophecy, if it's just game over, then that's a bad stealth game.
Yeah.
So what's a stealth game where it's fun to get caught? Because I'm trying to think of one and I'm blanking. Okay.
Dishonored is the go-to example I use as like my favorite getting caught stealth game.
Metal Gear Solid 5, if you're looking for something really recent. That does
Ape Escape.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't really get caught, you just get spotted, but that is stealth. Anyway.
But the consequences for getting caught here are so drastic. Like if you get caught, your meter keeps going up even if you try to retreat and come back. These guys have really long leashes, like they'll follow you for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And if they grab you, like you're gonna get frenzied. And even with lots of frenzy resist gear, like you can only get frenzied, once, and you have to heal right away. Like you have to be at full health to survive it. I don't think it's a good stealth section.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought it was neat that they tried a stealth thing, and once I realized that's what it was, like I adjusted my tactics and it didn't bother me.
I refer to this less as a stealth section than a sprint section.
Yeah.
That's
Also
how I
valid.
got through most of this area.
Yeah, sedative. Popping bills and cranking dills. Yeah.
Well, I wish you could carry more than 10 sedatives with you too.
Yeah, that's a
that
problem.
ends up being a frustrating thing with this.
Oh god, yeah. If we want to talk about item consumption issues in this game, that's a whole other episode.
Yeah, again, just this season, we've talked about that a lot. Like,
I thought we could do 3 hours on Mikolash.
Yeah,
let's talk about blood vial farming.
Hunker down.
Let's talk about that rune that you. Oh, actually, never mind. Is it the rune that you get here that lets you carry more bullets?
Oh, I don't think you get it here.
No.
Okay, it's just like your mind is suffused with the great blah blah blah. It just means you can carry 5 more bullets.
I like to think of it as an actual pocket on your brain. You just put them in.
Shove them in there.
Just keep some spare change and a couple of condoms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sam's Club card.
But you either sneak or sprint past these things, and you get to this hallway with, again, the bowl cut spiders. We don't have to dwell on them too terribly much, or the winter lantern that is guarding the church bell, although that is another choir artifact that is here. Yeah. Right. But kind of what you're up here to do is pull this lever that starts a cutscene and actually drops this thing that has been causing the frenzy, which is actually what's that?
Latria reference.
Yes, yep. Exactly. It is a big chained up brain shoggoth.
And this thing is actually really interesting. This brain shoggoth. That we'll make our way down to get acquainted with them at some point, but there's description when you get the item from it. So this is an actual great one, but it has this whole idea of there are some great ones that are corrupted and evil. Like this has eyes on the inside of it, but its body is horribly rotten and the eyes are misguided or something like that. Like the phrasing. So there are versions that these people are aspiring to, that they're worshiping as gods, but it's not a monolithic pantheon. Right. Like some of them are just this, and some of them are just Ram. Some of them they're gods because they are great, but there's no qualitative aspect to them.
Yeah, there's no intentionality in the sense of you're a god because of your character or your abilities or anything. You just are. That's our word for this thing that's kind of beyond us.
Weird and powerful.
Yeah, that's just a class of straight up Lovecraft thing again of it might as well just be a giant amoeba out in space that can do all this stuff, but it's not because it's a god in the sense of a character, an acting entity or whatever. It's just a giant rotting brain.
It's functionally equivalent to just a big radioactive rock, right? It's just this big object that is bad.
And I don't actually even know if the brain has any intelligence to it. It's just
I think it does.
glassy-eyed staring at you.
It follows
you can commune with it. You can
you can talk to it, and that's the thing. So when you get down to where it's at, you continue down, and there's we're skipping around a little bit, but that's okay. When you get down to where it's at, it falls down. You take this elevator down to this void back in that main attendant room. It's just in the middle of nothing. It looks like the void from Dark Souls 1. You head over there, and for the longest time, I was just I just kill this thing and get an item.
Nope.
And you get this living string. But if you have the secrets of the choir and you can do this make contact gesture, it will talk to you, because we know from previous that runes are Carol's ability to transcribe the words of the Great One. So it's talking to you. It definitely gives you this is communication with it.
I think I honestly interpreted the spears as potentially also being communication.
The spears?
Okay, yeah.
The insight thing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
It's shouting, basically.
Yeah. It sees that you are a being of flesh and bone. Yeah.
Right. Well, if you notice, all the there's all those little eggies that have spears in them that are also dead. And they're very small little spears, and it's like it tried talking to everything around here.
Yeah, the eggies that look like eyes. Yeah.
Yes, they do look like eyes.
I like how you're calling them eggies, but it sounds like you're saying Aggies, like you guys are big marbles enthusiasts.
Yeah.
No, they're
Or
cute.
doing
They're like
agricultural
little itty bitty babies.
Yeah. But yeah, he will give you the moon rune, and then you have to destroy him in order to get the artifact that gets you into the final chalice dungeon. Which, hey, happy coincidence. Guess what I didn't get in my first playthrough?
Oh,
This
boy.
thing. So I have to play through all of New Game Plus to get the thing that will let me finish the.
I love the Chalice Dungeon.
I also
Whoa,
enjoy
love.
the chalice dungeons.
I think they're
Whoa.
great.
Okay, here's a
Great.
thing that they gave you in Bloodborne, all right? They gave you more Bloodborne.
That's what I thought until I played them. Like I was like you. It's on tape. I was once like you. I was so in favor. I was so defensive of them. I was just like, oh, it's better than nothing. Like, just think of them as a bonus. But now that I have to do them for my job, I hate them because they're boring and stupid. Nothing cool is in them.
They're the Dark Souls 2 of Bloodborne.
Oh, shots fired. Like, you don't ever do anything cool in the Chalice Dungeons. Like, you get to control your guy, and it feels like Bloodborne, but there's no design to the levels or anything.
It's empty
like,
Bloodborne calories.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
I actually would agree with that.
styrofoam.
Yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes there's a dog that spits fire at you.
Cool.
Yeah, like,
The boss
it-
fights
it's
are
just like
good. I just
someone
wish
took-
there wasn't so much insulation between them.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I got
I think the
a
bosses
good
are really
couple weeks of fun, and I streamed actually a bunch of it too.
Yeah, that was fun. I remember that.
Oh yeah, there were some close calls. It was pretty great. Hold on, let me go on about the one time I fought the Hound of the Dog of the Lords or whatever.
The Hound of the Dog of the Lord.
the Lord
The
doggy.
dog of the Lords.
Fire dog spit guy.
Is it too late to add
that
him
was
to
really
Souls
good.
of Darkness?
Yeah, it probably is, but I still have to do those Twine games,
Okay.
so he can show up there.
The Dark Souls of fighting games.
So that's one rare item that you can get from this little leg. You can also drop down in the tower where this big brain used to be. The big brain on Brad used to be to get the blood rock, which is the one guaranteed plus 10 upgrade material per playthrough. Again, chalices can alleviate that somewhat, but why?
Yeah. Yeah, if you can yeah, you can make that happen if you want to spend a lot of time in chalices. Get more than one plus 10 item.
Chalices are good for like you put on like a podcast and like turn the sound down.
There's so many games to play. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Like I can only handle chalices if I'm like exercising or
Yeah.
doing something else, like watching a TV show. Like I wish I could play another
Sleeping.
video game while I was playing them. Like I wish I could play Isaac while playing a chalice.
All of the Souls games are podcast games for me.
Yeah, me too.
They eventually get to that point with me. I first played through. I played with sound on.
Yeah, you want to hear all them sounds first, but then on your 2nd through 12th playthrough, which we all do because we have that problem that we don't talk about, then
That we talk at length about.
yeah, I guess we're talking
That's
about it right now.
That we don't talk about but have a podcast about.
Let's talk about Mikolash.
Well, you have to hear that like Souls game music like the first time. So like you walk up to like a giant armadillo and it's like. Or it's just some sort of low-key violin noodling or something.
Well, that way, when you've heard the 3 songs that it has, it really matters a lot when the final boss has a whole song.
There you go.
Yeah. Anyway, but that's really all that's around here. You can use the iron key that you found here, but the description is hilariously vague. Like, there are no thieves here, so why would they lock it? Maybe it's a horror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's talk about the critical path, though. This moonlit rooftop path to the ultimate goal here.
Goofiest surprise in the game.
Yeah, which one?
The boars?
The boars.
Yeah.
The boars.
The boars.
Yeah.
Up or-
Well, those are behind the shadows of Yharnam, which you find a couple of sets of these guys.
Yeah. These
Yeah,
guys are
that
back.
didn't quite make a lot of sense to me because
Well-
I'm like, are we just reusing bosses at this
They're-
point, or is there a great lore reason? for
They're
this?
shadowing Yharnam.
Oh, that's true.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
none
Not
of this made
actually
sense to
making
me.
sense.
You're just saying the same thing.
I assumed it was because of an NPC we find later.
Oh yeah, that's Yharnam. They're shadowing her.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
They're guarding her out.
Yeah.
These guys, and they're fine. The boars, I have a problem with the boars. I like the turnaround with the eyeballs.
Oh,
Yep.
so good.
I like that goofy bit. I think that's really cool, and I like the eyeball board design. Even in end of game, I still get one shot by their charge a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like being one shot in video games in general, but like I really don't like the tracking on that charge.
Mm-hmm.
It's like their little miniature Abriduses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because you get a whole boss fight of that later. But I really don't like those boars.
No.
Can Abritus one-shot you?
Oh God,
You
yes.
can get hit twice in the charge because she has a hitbox on her arms and her body.
Wow.
So it's very easy to get knocked in from one end to the other is what's
Interesting.
happening. I looked it up. I was like furious that it kept happening to me. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? And like looked it up, and that's what happens in Abritus.
I think one of the amazing things about the Souls games is how differentially difficult certain parts are.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like some parts, like you'll just knock over and feel like a god, and other people will be smashing their head against, and vice
Yeah.
versa.
Hilarious.
If
Yeah.
if you thought that Abritus was anything but egregious, it's likely you had the memory leak going on the first time you played it.
Yeah.
That happened to me
Could
anyway.
be.
Yeah, like I two-shot Abritus just because I needed to learn her patterns. But yeah, that is definitely a factor for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. I first tried her the first time through, and I was like, who's this? Like, it's another idiot god. And then played her without the leak.
Mhm.
Whoops, hell lasers.
Yeah. Just hell lasers in that charge, man.
Yeah. But this is, again, another section of this level that is meant to be run, like sprinted through, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I did that.
Yep.
Oh, I farmed these boars.
I did a lot of sprinting at this part of the game.
Yeah.
I farmed the hell out of this place.
Oh, wow.
I was a rancher.
Well, it's pretty easy to do that because you have all these shortcuts. This is a very shortcut-rich area of the game. Also, it's incredibly vertical for people who miss that from Dark Souls 2.
Mhm.
This is actually, David brings up a good point. This is like a really great place to farm. I eventually did that thing where you can run and get the Shadows of Yharnam to fight the boars,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is amazing. And then you can just use that to
What?
farm. Yeah, you can.
That's amazing.
You can kite the Shadows of Yharnam up and after you, and then have the boars, and then kind of just jump out of the way, and the boars will charge into them, and they will sit and kill each other.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing. I'm so
And
happy.
then you just mop up whatever's left. It's so great. You just turn around and they're all just wailing on each other. The boars just like going through and plowing them over. It's so it's worthwhile. It's one of the few times because it's like I forget what the big farming area in Dark Souls 2 was, but in Dark Souls 1, the forest guys that go rolling off the
The
cliff and
D&D
stuff.
party. Yeah.
This one is so fun just to sit back and watch. You get
I
to watch
just
this
learned that you
carnage.
could do that, like doing research today, but I've never done it.
Oh yeah.
So next time I go
Definitely
through this area, I'm definitely not fighting those boars myself.
In New Game
Like a
Plus,
chump.
when the blood whatever like requirements are so like stupid high, you can come in here and do that later on, and it's pretty great.
It's a turnkey operation.
Sweet. Yeah, just set it up like a car wash.
Kinda.
The,
I'm so happy that we referenced the same thing.
it is well we do tend to memorize the exact same shows,
Yeah, we do.
except for like little small amounts of non-overlap. Like I picked up that Flintstones reference you made earlier, but I wasn't happy about it. So you ascend to this final little landing and shortcut, really kind shortcut here, and we run into an old friend from Rom Lake, Yharnam.
Yeah, I mean, like we don't quite know that's her yet, or that's her name.
Mhm.
Like that.
Yeah.
That is one of the few big revelations that's made in a boss name card.
Yeah.
But yes, here is this woman in a stunning white gown that is bloodied at the front, and she is clasping her hands and looking reverently at this tower.
Her hands are bound together.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought they were just clasped. Huh.
No, that's kind of this whole thing with Thumerians and with her specifically.
Mhm.
I haven't got to that part of the Chalice dungeons
Neither
yet.
have I.
Well, what'd you say?
Neither have I.
Oh, neither have I. So I haven't done a bunch of like research trying to figure out like exactly, this Yharnam stuff. We ended up chatting with a gentleman at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo who has a theory about it that I kind of like,
Mhm.
but I want to get further into it before, I buy in whole hog. But she's bound, and it plays a part in the boss fight with her.
Yeah.
Is her hands are bound, and eventually she breaks free of her shackles. And here she is bound as well.
Yeah. I love the sound she's making. I mean, it's horrible and tragic, but like she is intermittently crying and laughing is what it sounds like.
That is like the official sound of the Souls games.
Yeah. The Lady of the Night does that too, doesn't she?
She does when we check in with her in next episode or the episode after that, whenever we decide to see one of the most horrific tableaus in like game
All of Souls.
Yeah.
Yeah, like her ending. Good night.
Yeah.
But
there's some parallels there.
Yeah, for sure. Do you guys know why there's a vial of Yosefka's blood here?
Not a clue.
I think that it is just similarly the blood of somebody who has maybe been interacted with in a genetic way by an old one.
Yeah, I don't.
And that's what we're calling it.
Yeah, like Yosefka, Yosefka is accounted for because there's always one of those little alien things in her clinic.
Right.
You know, no matter what. So that's presumably the one, and it drops a Yosefka's blood. So that's a long way from home. This vial of blood. I think that it's just a gameplay thing.
Yeah.
Like here's the final boss. Have a powerful healing item.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it feels kind of lame.
Yeah. Well, it's like
it was
the
totally
Church Giant in the Nightmare thing. I was just like, this just seems like it. We gotta throw something in here.
Yeah.
Might as well be a fucking Mario coin. Like,
Mario's blood.
You go up this other elevator to this kind of amazing arena where you fight what can be the last boss of the game, actually, Mergo's wet nurse.
I love the name Mergo's wet nurse.
I love this boss.
It's a really good boss.
This boss is great.
You're both right.
A great boss. This was one of the bosses that really, in fact, actually the last, this game ends so strongly. The last, the last bosses I think are the best in the game, from Mikolash on. I think Mikolash, Mergo, and then onward. The kind of the horrible blade swinging arms and summoning this weird void fog that you're in. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. Well, just her first appearance too. You step out and you see this, stroller bassinet kind of thing, and then this monstrosity descends, and kind of like it has no form. It's invisible, and you just kind of see it by what it's wearing, like the Invisible Man, and you can see that it has this unnatural anatomy, this long kind of craning neck, and these 6 arms that are all holding these really, really mean blades, and just the tattered robes that kind of turn it from okay, this might just be a vestment or something, into this is simultaneously a crow and the very visage of death.
Yeah.
It looks
those blades are really, really useful for the breastfeeding too.
Yeah. Really good.
Just slice off a slice of milk.
And if you know anything about midwifery, you know that the blades are really.
It looks to me. It looks like a Jim Henson creation. It has elements of Skeksis to it or something. This could show up in the background of Dark Crystal.
Well, it reminded me of a cross between. I mean, the game has that all over the place with the Shadows of Yharnam and with Eileen the Crow. That kind of and then the horrible birds, the worst birds in history, that are in this also have that kind of design. This game really loves that kind of horrible, dark, greasy black bird type thing. It really loves that.
It's an inky pool of feathers.
Yeah, and rightly so, because it's great.
This is all me setting up the groundwork as I've been doing all this season for eventually covering Labyrinth on an off season for Bloodborne, because there are surprising there are some. It's a stretch. It's not the biggest stretch in the world.
Gary, all you have to do is ask.
Yeah. Well, I'm imagining people listening just being a little bit guys.
Hear me out.
We have 4 fucking months to cover, guys. Come on.
That is true. We do have a lot of time to cover. We should probably do Labyrinth on the show.
So this fight is great because really what she does is she walks at you, and she's like a whirling dervish of these blades. Like it feels like a bit much to say it's a walking blender, but that's what it is.
Yeah, it feels like a meat grinder or something.
Yeah, she's a fucking steamroller.
It's the cleaners from Labyrinth.
She's a chainsaw. She'll skin your ass raw.
Yeah.
She's a man eater.
I'm really sorry, everyone.
But and this kind of extends because it's a Dark Souls boss. You want to get behind it. Although, what is behind this thing that can attack in all directions?
Yeah.
With just
it
wild.
kind of reaches behind itself.
Mm-hmm.
It also summons clones like a dark lurker.
Mm-hmm.
Because why wouldn't it?
Yeah.
The clones like behave differently than they do in other things where they're not like a separate entity. Like you don't have to do anything with the clones.
Mm-hmm.
You can just run away for a while. But one of my favorite moments when that happens oftentimes corresponds with her turning off the lights.
Mm-hmm.
And that's incredible. Like when you're just running away and these things are just flitting at the edges of your vision.
That was my
these flashes
experience
of
with this.
silver.
Yeah. I never stopped to take any of them on. As soon as like the void started, like the fog, I again just sprinted. Man, I really ran a lot. That's like a lot of my experience with this is like I just like bolted as soon as something.
So you've
scary
played
happened.
Souls games.
Yeah, Pursuit is gameplay.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, you can outrun a lot of shit. I'm like, I'm gonna be doing this in New Game Plus anyway, just running past a bunch of you. So, but yeah, like that was my experience with it. Was running and then these things just kind of popping out and like taking a swipe and occasionally connecting, but usually not, which made it better. It made it better that they didn't connect as easily.
This is, I think. Oh, man, besides like the one-on-one fights that the Souls games have, where you're fighting like a version of you, like with some of the kings or with one of the final bosses of this game, like this is I think my favorite Souls like big boss.
Yeah,
that's really good.
This is a big monster done well.
Yeah.
Which
a lot of big
happen.
monsters in the Souls games just like cheat. Like cheating is called it, but they're just like, here's a gigantic wall of damage and you get hit. This one is actually kind of cinematic in how it does.
It's because it's not that big. Like it's big, but it's not, and the arena is set up to where the camera's never really your enemy.
Mm-hmm.
So like you don't run into this thing where it's like Capra thing. Like it's roughly the same size as Capra, but you never have a problem with that.
Yeah. I love that when it deploys the void fog, that it's like this reality distortion, and then it gets Dulcim arms. And just has this reach. So even its ranged attack is still just this blade. This is nothing but blade.
Yeah. Yep. Nothing but blade.
A very, 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 very good boss. Yeah.
It's great. And it could be the last boss of the game, which I really like. Because if you choose that kind of ending that you shouldn't choose, this is a fitting climax.
Yeah.
One little Easter egg after you beat her, you have this kind of like still silence on the arena. I really love everything about kind of this point onward. And you get this, it says Nightmare Slain, which is interesting. And the baby is crying. If you play the music box, Gascoigne's music box, you can make Mergo laugh. Last time before it's silenced and presumably dies.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, I know it's an eldritch other being, but like.
Yeah, but it's innocent. It's still a baby.
Yeah.
It's a baby.
Yeah, it's still a baby.
All right.
We're done here.
I know I'm the one who just quoted Limp Bizkit here, but
you took it to Austin Powers and ruined it for everybody.
Yeah.
I'd like you to see the conversion chart. That's somehow worse.
It was a really, really bad few years in like the late 90s, early 2000s when Limp Bizkit and Austin Powers were in the zeitgeist.
When we decided that was acceptable.
Yeah. Oh, man. No
but
good.
just, I love the idea that this is a wet nurse, like some kind of surrogate thing that sustains. I mean, in real life, a woman, not a thing, but like just the, but just like this thing's existence was sustaining it. It's not, just like you killing this ultimately leads to Mergo himself, dying. Like he was holding on by a thread, even.
Yeah.
Kind of Mergo as a female. I think it's just because it sounds like Margot. Like
I don't know,
Margot.
Mergo.
Yeah, I always thought of Mergo as a guy too, but I don't know why.
Yeah.
Probably years of generational sexism that followed me until my entire life. Like it's probably a lot of societal and Gary.
Honestly, for me, I think it's because of the Omen. I think I'm just used to a baby being a boy.
Yeah, that could be the thing too.
Gotta open your mind, man. The Antichrist could, it
Yeah,
comes,
could be,
comes in all
could be there.
genders.
Gender swapped Antichrist. I'm into it.
Yeah.
Sisters doing it for themselves.
Auntie Christina.
Yeah.
Sisters opposing God,
But
standing
that's
athwart.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, I was making a really, really stupid joke, so don't worry about it.
What else have we been doing for the past 2.5 hours?
That's true.
Like I bet
Yeah,
some of those
baby.
jokes are like C minuses. I don't think they've all been that bad. I think we
true.
might have scaled to that height.
Yeah, one time we talked about spiders. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Remember that, guys?
What a tangled web we weave.
We learned a lot today. But if anybody now who's listening is just like, but what about? We're covering that stuff later because we forgot. There's a big optional area we're going to go to. A couple of them too, because we get at some point we have to do chalices.
And like what you awaken to after this is actually like really evocative when you take it as a piece with this other stuff, like with
we don't
want
want to talk about
and
exactly.
Yeah.
That's going to be part of our end game discussion.
Yeah.
So this is going to be it for this episode. But next time is when we're hitting up the Upper Cathedral Ward, one of my favorite areas of the game. And talking about the choir, kind of the other half of the coin, this church coin. And we're going to be joined by Allison Baker of Lego Dark Souls fame, and also friend of the network and personal friend. And I'm super excited about that. Yeah. She's great.
Yeah. So,
thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much, Davin.
No
Scott,
problem.
Where can people find you?
Scott, why don't you go first? Since I went first earlier, we can trade these.
Thank you. That is very kind of you. You can find me at Bombsfall on Twitter regularly, with like alarming regularity. At me on there.
Scott doesn't sleep like normal humans do.
I do actually have a set sleep schedule. It crosses space and time, so
yeah,
it's non-Euclidean sleep patterns. But you can find me at Bombsfall on Twitter. You can check out the game that I'm making with Bethany Hockenberry and Al Kaluka, and a few other people at nightinthewoods.com or at nightinthewoods on Twitter. I can't believe that handle was available. Yeah, it's a game that's coming out next year, and if it does not murder us, it's gonna be really okay. I think
it looks phenomenal.
Yeah,
thanks.
Like it looks really good. Like I don't, I was awakened. Like I didn't know about you on Twitter or your game until probably about like 6 months ago or so.
Oh, okay.
But
you slept in blissful ignorance until then.
I did. There was this great bulwark of water protecting me from
there was a giant horrible spider
from
face.
dreaming Benson.
We're in like the last X amount of months of development when like this is like the time when everything is like awful. Like I mean, but that's like the same thing with like every big project you ever do. It's just like you reach a point where you're just like, oh, this is just really tired.
Like, you just want to build yourself a concrete tomb to lie down in for a while.
Yeah, and like you're like, there's so many things to fix and there's so much to do, et cetera, et cetera.
The returns are so diminishing. Why can't people just praise me yet?
Yeah, pretty much.
Just put on the
cage. Kisses on the cheek.
Everyone already has seen the game and thinks it's cool, and then we showed a demo and that was cool. I don't get to show anything until the actual game's done. And that's awful. So anyway, I'm actually slightly groggier than usual right now as I'm talking to you, simply because of the development cycle right now. But anyway,
thank you
that's
for
where you can find me.
the time. Appreciate it.
No, no problem.
No, you're busy.
And I'm on Twitter at OniDavin. I work a real normal ass job, so you can just hit me up there.
Just go to Riot headquarters.
Yeah, just go to Riot headquarters,
Santa Monica.
David at his house.
Just visit my house. It's going to be great. I'll give you a dog. You can have him.
It is true though that even though you're saying that you work this normal ass job, that if people who are listening to this are League of Legends fans, like I feel like League of Legends and Riot do a lot of stuff with the research. Like the things they like about that job, you are at least that game, you are at least partially responsible for.
Yeah.
Totally.
So like,
yeah.
it's not like you have no authorship over the quality
job.
of this thing. So
I meant more like I wasn't traveling through a creative hellscape that is the last 6 months of. But
So
no.
you have your choice of
Totally
guess,
hit me up
hellscape
about
or
that.
non-hellscape.
Yeah.
Ooh,
You can
hellscape.
flit in and out of the nightmare. I am trapped in the nightmare.
He's the hunter, and then there's just me and Kole over here, and we're just a couple of dolls.
Just hold it down.
Wink.
That's what I've always thought of both of you as I've been listening to this podcast for the past year or two.
Just real pinchable little cheeks.
Yeah.
I'm like,
just-
look at those little dolls.
Fixed glassy eyes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would appreciate someone drawing that.
No.
I would anti-appreciate someone showing me that.
I'd look at it.
What was the term that I think came up before the podcast? Was just interest violence?
Yeah,
Yeah. Interest violence.
Listen for that in the appendix.
Mhm. Yeah, so I think that's probably about it. If you have things to say about the Upper Cathedral Ward, hit us up at duckfeed.tv/contact. You know all the ways you can help us out.
Yeah.
You can go to www.patreon.com/duckfeed.tv. And, just a little bit of money a month helps us out a great deal.
Yeah.
You should be a proud donor like me, you bum. What are you doing?
Appreciated. So appreciated.
We appreciate it. So this has been a longer than usual episode, so we'll keep the admin short.
Mention the expo.
Oh, yes.
That's quickly becoming relevant.
Yes, it is.
Times drops.
If you're listening to this and you're in the Midwest of the United States, we're going to be giving a talk at the Ohio Game Developers Expo in Columbus, Ohio at the COSI Center. The talk is called Lessons from Lordran, a bonfireside chat. And we're going to talk about what makes Dark Souls cool and kind of the design lessons we can take from the way this world is kind of put together and the way information is presented to the player through both play and kind of atmosphere. So that is Saturday, November the 7th of 2015. As you're listening to this, it is less than 1 week away. Come out and see us. We're having meetups in Cincinnati on that Friday night, and in Columbus that Saturday. For information about all of this, go to duckfeed.tv/Ohio-2015.
Yeah, I bet you've never seen two chubby Midwesterns sweat at the same time. And if you want to see that,
I don't live that far from there, so I should. Well, actually, no. I'm sorry. I'll be in Toronto. We're actually doing if you're in Toronto for some reason, not the 7th, come see Bethany and I at Wordplay, which is a writerly games conference, and we will be talking about Night in the Woods. But no one who's listening to this is probably going to do that.
Yeah, dueling conferences.
And if you're in Santa Monica on the 7th, I'll be at my apartment. You can stay the fuck away.
Nobody invited you here.
What are you doing? This is my weekend.
I have a job. Do you have a job?
I'm trying to cry and sleep over here.
we'll come up with a punch card thing. So if somebody manages to visit all three of those locations, and that weekend we'll give them like a special badge or something.
Before we call the police.
We'll call it like the episode 89 passport or whatever. The
77.
77. Anywho, we've learned a lot of things today, guys.
Yes, we have.
Yeah. So is there, until next time, what should they do, Cole?
Well, they should remember that a hunter is a hunter, even in a dream.
Umbasa.
Umbasa.
And we all pray that we will have far more soon.
You guys don't have to. Yay!
Yeah, we did.
Is that like is the Umbasa thing, like where someone's like, yeah, we say grace here, but you don't have to?
Yeah,
It's very similar to that.
a little bit. I appreciate it when people do, but I'm not saying
as
that to
long
make
as
you feel
you
guilty.
tilt your head down and close your eyes.
Yeah.
You don't have to actually pray along.
Just be
If
fucking
there was-
respectful.